Let's
Hello.
put on some spooky music. So, Roxy, for this, it is just riffing off each other. No rolling dice or anything like that. You are that person.
Let me use my dice.
I know. The amount of people I've had turn around and go, I don't like it. I want to roll my dice.
I want to roll my dice. I have so many nice dice.
Yep.
This is
It's
fun.
not that popular as a result. Right, go into studio mode.
Will I need to make notes? Like, will I need to write down?
A blank piece of paper is usually all you're going to need. Right, so let's start doing this. So this one's got to be cropped to Sean. Yeah, caffeine did. Yeah, come on. Chat. What? Alex? I have to remind myself of this particular game because I wrote it ages ago. I wrote it literally after the last one that we had. And I was like, oh yeah, we'll use this, pretty soon. Some suitably spooky music going on, and we've changed the chaotic neutral starting screen to the one we used for Call of Cthulhu.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah, so that's. All of this is and then I cover you all with really freaky gifts. Right on this.
Yeah. Safety and
comfort blanket.
I mean, it's to the side of me.
Can I just roll a dice just for no reason?
But my dice are so nice. Look at how shiny.
Oh, I've seen those. I wanted to buy some of those.
They're really nice. They've got really nice weight to them. I really enjoy rolling.
I'm surprised. Like the ones I've seen were like £30 for the set, and I'm like, that seems very cheap.
These are my nicest dice, though.
Ooh, I think I got that exact set.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I haven't got any stone ones yet.
I don't actually ever really roll them. I'm just worried about them. But
Yeah,
they're really nice just to like.
shit.
Oh yeah, they're really nice. Like I just like hold them in my hand.
Yeah,
I quite like these metal ones.
Yeah, I really like that style.
Yeah.
I've got set.
Although never roll those on a pine table unless you want it to look like the surface of the moon.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got like some.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing so much online, I barely roll real dice. Like, I keep playing Numenera, where I don't have to roll any dice, and then we play Star Wars, where the dice are so complicated we need a dice roller. Not quite true, it's just I don't necessarily have enough dice to roll.
Yeah, Nick, John, and Katie from the guild. We started playing Fate with them, but you need like fancy Fate dice and everything. Like, it's so upsetting.
I thought you could do that with D6s.
You can, yeah.
Is it like a complicated?
You've got to have a table at the. You've got to have a little table on the
Yeah.
table basically to show what each one does.
Yeah, no, thank you.
To remove that because I have no freaking idea where it is. Right, there we go. Image. White noise mouth. And then the mouth in there. Okay. And where the hell is that source? Weirdly, it's not showing me a source on the. I've just added a source to the thing, but it's not allowing me to. No, stupid free broadcastings.
Damn you, open source. Why must you be so good? Yeah, our company wouldn't be able to do anything if there was no open source. Like,
I imagine a lot of people are the same way, right?
the world wouldn't work if open source didn't exist. Like, it
like-
just wouldn't.
Yeah, like with all the things that are based on Android.
Yeah.
Like, well, we've
Or
got
the internet.
that. Yeah.
All I need for my job is Excel and Outlook.
What is it you do?
I'm basically an accountant. It's much easier just to say I'm an
Fair
accountant.
enough.
Can relate.
What is it that you do?
Which ones? Who?
I think Ed, you said that you're some sort of engineer.
Yeah, software engineer. Yes.
Yeah.
Programmer, code monkey, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. And what do you do, Sean?
So in a similar way to you're technically a thing. I'm technically a writer. I just kind of work for a tech company where I'm technically a writer / journalist. But I mean, it's not on my job description. But all the stuff I put on is news. So sometimes I'm a weatherman. Can't really say.
I should have got rid of all of your voice called starting but just in case if you can mute, I'll say something like, so let's meet the players or something like that, and then we'll go into it. And so all it's going to be is 3 hours. Just be the character that you're being, listen to some of the stuff that I give you all as part of the premise. Make down whatever notes you want. There is a way of winning and losing the game, but mostly the chances of that are kind of Cthulhu level in that you either look at the right things and suddenly clear, or you won't die because it's a ghost story. Ghost stories until I end up doing but anyway. So yeah, they failed last time. But other people who played it, including in the guild, did succeed. Just follow it along, riff along as you would normally do, and just be the character. I know what you guys are and what you do. So we've got a sound engineer. We've got a transitioning social media guru. We'll get into that as part of the intro for anybody who saw the Vaudeville Ghost. And then remind me again, Roxy, what's your character good at? I posted it, but so assistant editor for a publishing company specializing in dictionaries. But you are a believer, and that is very useful. You can speak a lot of languages. And you've got a keen
Yeah, please
eye.
don't actually ask me to speak any languages.
It's fine. It's
It will
fine.
not go well.
It just means I
don't speak
translate certain
them.
things for you.
Cool.
Okay. So I'm going to let me just throw the Google Doc over your faces. There we go. And that means I can switch back and forth between the two. That shouldn't come up on the studio. No, it just looks at you. Cool. We are ready. So if you'd all like to mute your mics, and I will get started. Making sure that it's still detecting my voice. Yes, cool. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ghostwriter at Chaotic Neutral Games. We're going to delay our usual schedule, and so instead of a Monday night being covering the eldritch horrors on the pirate coast of Illyria, we're going to embrace the spirit of Halloween and look at the supernatural a little closer to home. Previously, when we did a ghost story of this kind, we did it according to a system or a non-system called No Roles, No Rules. Last time we did it with 3 improv actors so that they were able to try it out for the first time, where they just gave me a quick brief of who they were playing, and then we went into the story, and it is just co-storytelling, role-playing back and forth, me telling them the results of their actions and them deciding carrying on from there. There is a time limit, as with the Vaudeville Ghost. 11 p.m. is when we finish. Hello to everybody in chat, by the way. Don't be a stranger. Come and say hi. And so at 11 p.m., either they will help the ghostwriter or they'll not. So let's go and meet the players. So let's transition over. And hello to you all.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey.
So I'm going to go around the table here. I'm also going to take this off studio mode because it freaks me out. And hello, Hermit in chat. So Hermit is normally one of our skags, one of our pirate skags that plays along with us in the chat on Monday nights. There's going to be a lot more of that starting from next Monday onwards, and also a few other games that will have that dynamic. But today, the guys in chat are in chat. However, if you do want to help, normally I'd say if you want to help or hinder, use your channel points. Do not use your channel points. Accrue them for wild magic bursts and all sorts of other cruel things for the guys on other games. Give us presents. There is a loot bomb option, if you want to be benevolent. Benevolent dictator, maybe. Who knows? But yes, so save your channel points. However, if you have any ideas, you want to be spirits of inspiration for our players, feel free to put it in chat. The guys will read it, and if they like the idea, who knows? They might go ahead for it as well. There may also be some functions that I might throw in there for Sean based on his background. So, first of all, I'm going to introduce our players. You know 2 of them very well. So from our Tuesday game and also our Numenera DM, which had Monty Cook turning up in the game. Oh, my God. We have Ed. Hello, sir.
Hello.
And I just need to boot a bot out of chat. So let's let's ban that. Ban hammer already. Where is it? There we go. Block and ban.
Starting strong.
Starting strong, yeah. So, no, did I block him? I didn't. I have no idea. I am a terrible mod for my own. There we go. I found the button. There we go. I am a terrible mod for my own channel. The second that causes a regular face is Sean, aka Seekian, who has been streaming Great Guns. Now you're affiliate now. So you weren't when we last did one of these. So it's been a little bit of a while. And you've been in a load of other RP channels. You've done some stuff with Encounter recently, didn't
Yeah.
you? Yeah, I say
Yeah,
recently.
I got to play in a
Last
Side
month.
Hander game over there. That was fun.
Yeah.
And we're doing lots of role playing stuff in Wild RP, which is a Red Dead Redemption 2
Yeah,
roleplay
you
server.
have sucked in Kate big time with that. I saw you two doing the accents and everything. It was great.
I mean, I would probably put the blame at Kate's feet on that one, but I'm just saying.
No, I'm sure you're maligning Kate, and she doesn't at all have an addictive personality in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Pay me later, Kate. So, an addition that you may I was about to say may not have seen before, you definitely haven't seen before, is Roxy. So, as some of you will know, here in Oxfordshire we have the Abingdon the Abingdon Guild of Adventurers, a 70-strong role-playing group here in the heart of Oxfordshire. When COVID hit, instead of going to the community hall, which is normally full of a wonderful susurrus of many games being played, we all moved online, and Ed, who is currently DMing for me, because I like to be not a DM sometimes.
Occasionally.
Occasionally, I get to not speak. I get to practice not speaking so much.
You also have to relinquish the power.
Yeah, relinquish the power. It's hard. It's hard. It's like a comfort blanket. I have to give it away. But yes, on Wednesday nights when I'm a player, we've been joined by the lovely Helen and Roxy as well. So so new faces, new friends around the table. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Some of you at very short notice. Ed pretty much was battering down my door right at the beginning, but thank you, Sean, for coming back, and Roxy for trying this out. So I'm going to go around the table once again, same order, and I'm going to ask you to introduce us to your characters. This is the only part of your character sheet that matters, because it's the only part of your character sheet. I may ask you some questions along the way, but Ed, introduce me to your character.
I today will be playing Marcus Smith, who a recording engineer by trade, recording bands and stuff in a sound room and mixing all that jazz. But likes messing with electronics in kind of downtime.
Yeah.
Has a few little bits and pieces he might have put together for ghost hunting.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't necessarily believe, but he really, really wants to. He just hasn't found that proof yet.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. Little note for me. Sean, you're bringing back your character from the Vaudeville Ghost. So introduce him, and then I might ask you a question about his development.
Okay. Yeah, so Todd Barber was in the Vaudeville Ghost. He fancied himself as a bit of a tech blogger / ghost hunter, but he believed and was really struggling because he wanted to find evidence. He was very much in the sort of attempted influencer avenue of where he was trying to go down. Anyone who saw Vaudeville Ghost saw if he actually found some proof or not, or whatever. I'm not going to spoil that if you want to go back and watch a VOD or whatever. But he's since that has happened, the whole ordeal shook him, and he scaled back a lot of that. So his channel's mostly sort of just having Tumbleweed go through it now, and he's still on the investigator side, but it's something he's been trying to grapple with for a long time and hasn't really found the way out of that little maze yet.
Yeah. Okay. So you're kind of a believer, but you're kind of suffering because of it.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's he believes, and now he kind of wants to understand why this is all happening instead of if this is all happening.
You've lost the comfort blanket. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And Roxy, who will you be playing?
I will be playing Nicola Fernsby, or Nikki for short. She's an assistant editor for a publishing company specializing in dictionaries, and she's currently working on a dictionary of quotations. She is definitely a believer and has very likely dabbled in witchcraft and sort of paganism and a bit of the occult for definitely when she was younger, and sort of she's getting more into it. She's interested in language and sort of the different way it's used, and that's one reason why this job particular was quite interesting for her, as it was at a related. She can she can speak a couple of languages, and she can read some Latin as well. But yeah, she's excited. I'm excited. One of those two.
So
everyone's excited.
your online community of ghost hunters has recently got a lot of extra coverage. Yeah, you've been seen. And as a result, a lot of people are coming to you now. There's a huge amount of hoax and people who are just trying to run you around on wild goose chases, and it's kept the community busy, especially those of you who are considered to be hunters that can be sent out into the field. The site has been updated now, and you guys have kind of popped off Reddit and have a site of your own now. And it's called Contact. And it has basically a spirit hand and a human hand touching each other like that as the symbol. As a result, it's a huge ghost hype. There hasn't been a ghost hype like this since the late 80s. And you are, to give you the background, it's this world. It's 2020. There's COVID, unfortunately. There's Trump, even worse. And even worse again, he's not the ghost. So the world is pretty much as you all know it. So you don't have to worry about references or anything like that. If you need to look something up on Google, everything that's on Google about the real world is true. Other than what I'm about to give you. So I'm going to give you the premise of the game. So you have been hired by the Revalle in London, spelled REVEILLE. It's after the bugle call that wakes soldiers up. It's an old-fashioned metro paper that sacrificed its yearly successes by refusing to be a trash tabloid and instead actually reporting the facts. Your employer is John Weston, and he is the great-grandson of the founder, Owen Weston. He's about to step out of the company, John, and hand over the seat of CEO to one of the directors, Gary Odling. Gary is known for being more modern, pragmatic, and will keep the Western legacy profitable. From the news that you know already, that the last issue of the Revalle is going to be printed on the original site that you'll be investigating tonight, before the newspaper is moved in its entirety to a state-of-the-art facility on the edge of the city. However, the printing of the newspaper is not going well. Last night, a set of last-minute additions to the paper were sabotaged. The press operators also complained of someone screaming incoherently through their Sensia headsets. So these things exist. I used to have one myself. It's a noise-cancelling radio ear protector. So it looks a little bit like what I'm wearing right now, including the size. And basically, if you speak into the mic, the other person across the way will hear you through all the noise, and they won't hear the noise. So it cancels everything else out except your voice. It learns your voice. It's very cool things. The management was suspicious of internal sabotage from some of the staff who were disgruntled with the change in leadership. And also they were disgruntled with the change of location. And then an event occurred. The press ran the script red. The printer only has black ink, and yet it ran red. And the word shame started appearing randomly throughout the articles in the paper. Even the management had to concede that this is near impossible. Afterwards, they couldn't find any trace of red ink. You'll be entering the press at just past 8 p.m. We are doing this kind of real-time, meta real-time. The press will start and print at 11 p.m. And that's solid. They will kick you out by then. You're just about being tolerated. And that's only because the current CEO himself has brought you in. Most people there don't know that you are paranormal investigators. They just think that you are investigators looking into the sabotage. You can reveal who you are, if you wish, or you can just try to coax information out of them another way. You can do whatever you like with regard to that. So, a few things to start off with. You've been given a bunch of phone numbers. I'm going to throw those in the chat, and I'll throw that in the Zoom chat for you all as well. So here we go. I'm afraid it doesn't have any formatting when I throw it into the stream chat. So you've got these phone numbers. Let's put it into Does it do it with Zoom chat? Yes, there we go. Zoom chat is much easier. And I need to get rid of Zoom chat now because I realise it just turns up on the stream. Oops. I'll have to figure that one out. You also get given a tour. So when you turn up at the facility, you are greeted by the head of admin, Edward and Valerie. I'm going to go around the table again, starting with Ed. Give me an appearance, and if there's any equipment that you have on you, please mention it now.
Yeah, so Marcus's kind of classic scruffy recorder, low rent. He's kind of unshaven, long hair, usually tied up with a bandana kind of thing. Band t-shirt, ripped jeans, like the look. You trust this guy to record your terrible indie band look.
I haven't shaved it since the 90s. Please give me a job.
He's carrying far too much recording equipment, like struggling bags and tripods and microphones and all sorts. He is way too keen for this.
Okay, sure.
So Todd's kind of dressed like this. He's got a beanie on. He's got an Adidas jacket on. Unlike last time, and his new friend does not have a lot of gear this time. Actually, it doesn't look like he's carrying anything. He does have like his phone on him, and there are a few different lenses in his pockets. He's taken the hint from the previous investigation and realized that he doesn't need as much as he thought. So he's traveling light, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it. And like jeans, hands in his pockets. He's very, very dressed down compared to last time where he was all suited up.
Yeah. And Roxy.
So Nikki, unlike her companions, is quite a smart-looking woman. She's not particularly tall, but she's got some heels on, which give her a little bit of height and make a really satisfying like click-clack noise when she sort of walks down the hall, which she does just for that.
Yeah.
She's got quite like elegant short bob. And she's got one rucksack in, but it has all like what she would consider the necessities in. So she's got some snacks, some water bottles, a couple of caffeine pills, notebook, pens, blue tack, any sort of all the stationery that you could need. She's got it. She's probably got a dictionary as well. But she hasn't got any sort of like fancy high-tech equipment. If you think you might need it, possibly on a one-off, she's got it in the rucksack. You don't know how it fits, it fits.
Right. Okay. So you get met by Edward Valerie, who you can see from the bags under his eyes is a guy who gets worked to death. He says, "Oh, right. Investigators. Yeah.
Yeah, that's us.
Right. Okay. Ever been in a newspaper printing house before?"
We'll look around at the others. Nah.
Okay.
Nah, not any of us. No.
Big machines don't touch.
Yeah,
right.
big machines, rip your arm off. Cost us a lot of money. Well, not these ones because they're being trashed tomorrow. Sorry, been here since 4. It's like a big printer, really. Just a little bit more complex. You put paper in, you put ink in, you print things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, makes sense.
Yeah.
Like a printer, right?
So with COVID, a lot of the writers are they're all working from home basically, and you can see he's quite discombobulated. Let me show you around. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, let's show you around. So here's the whistle stop tour. So we start off, and he takes you into freezing cold stores. Barely any heating at all, but really, really crisp and dry. It goes, so yeah, stores, man 24/7. Most of the stuff comes in during the day.
Oh, hang on. And Marcus is just going to take out a little dictaphone and start recording. Sorry, could you start again?
Stores, 24/7. Stuff in during the day. In the night, we got store manager Marie. Where's she? Hey, Marie. And you can hear, "Hello, love." And she kind of looks over and goes, "Yeah, Marie's been here like forever. knew like the founder and stuff. Isn't that right? She's like, yeah, it was the tea girl. And he goes, yeah, she likes she doesn't like all the noise, which really, why is she working here if she doesn't like the noise? But it's quieter, I guess, in the nights now. So yeah, she's the night manager. Basically sorts out all the rubbish that they, the new, like the younguns, when they work in the day, they leave it in hell of a mess, and they come in every morning and it's all tidy. But yeah, she's all right. Is Marie? She's probably upstairs watching EastEnders. Basically she does what she wants, but it's always good in the morning. Anyway, so yeah, you can see you got your binders, you got your paper rolls, big old things there. Then you got your full size rolls, you got your 3/4, your halves. So yeah, that's for different things and for the inserts and stuff. Sometimes in the day we do like pamphlet runs, things like that, for a bit of extra money. Not going to be doing that in the new place. We're going to have like a separate line for that. Ink, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just everything you'd find, I guess. Got some pallets, but just nothing here to like nick or anything. So I don't see why anybody will want to come in here unless they want to go with like several tons of roll. I don't know. Anyway, let's go to the real room. That's a bit more interesting. So he walks into a long, thin corridor-like room. It's probably about as wide as a van, but the length of a train. It's really long. You can see that there are these arches of machinery with these big rollers on them. Well, half of them. And you can see halfway down, and you can see these rollers get moved backwards and forwards. There's two guys just rolling this huge reel of paper onto one of these. They're marking off various bits, and you can see that they're working with a muscle memory. As they take a big steel ruler, they put it along the line. They end up scoring a line. They fold part of it up. They put a big piece of blue sticky tape on there. Then they fold a kind of corner of it up, so it's kind of got a corner off it, so it's kind of flat, and then has a corner. Then they stick it off again, and then they roll it up, line everything up, bring all of these little markers in to dictate the size of the roll, and then there's a sudden, okay, next. Oh, Eddie, yeah, is this them? Yeah. There's this is Tim. He's our senior real op, and this is Rudy, and he's he's learning at the feet of the master. Yeah, and Tim goes, yeah, obliged. We're pretty pushed here, but come back when you're ready, and we'll answer your questions. Yeah. But there's no bloody red ink here. Look, you can look all over the floor. If there was any ink here, it'd get over everything. And you can see this place is pristine. There's no ink anywhere. Because they have to roll the paper on it, so the paper can't get dirty. Anyway, yeah, come down when you want to, and we'll give you some of our time. We're trying to get ahead of ourselves so we can give you some time. Because anyway, up these stairs. You go up some gantry stairs. He goes, so this is the press itself. So this is where the ink would have been. At which point, this thunderous woman marches up to you, and she said, I'm telling you, we didn't put any red ink in. We can tell the difference between red and black. Yeah? We put it in, we would have seen it straight away. We would have seen it straight away. And
we're not accusing you then. What?
Edward goes, this is Helena. She's the senior unit op here. It's their job to put in the spacers and the slides. He pulls a slide off, and she looks like she's fit to kill him for taking it off. And he holds it up to you, and it's looks like a thin acetate almost. And they're just hanging off these little shelves. And he goes, yeah, when all these get loaded, they'll all get tucked in on the rollers and everything will get going. And it's really impressive. You'll see it. 11 o'clock. Everything just goes at 11 o'clock. So there's that. You can see that there's a brooding guy watching the exchange between you and the steaming Helena. And he goes, hello, Serge. And Serge just glares at him. Not happy with him at all. Paper passes through here, goes through the rollers, gets the thing on it, and then it all gets collected in the folder. So that's just down here. So go through a pair of double doors, and there's two women talking to a flamboyantly gay guy who is queening it up. You can hear him from a distance, even over the priming machinery. And he's talking about. And then he said, and kind of gets you in the corner of the eye and goes, mm-hmm. And you can see the two women turn around. One of them walks up to you and she says, "Are these the people?" And Edward goes, yes, this is Desiree, Lucinda, our unit folder up here. So what these are responsible for, and she's just there. She's not glaring at you, she's scrutinizing you. She's quite kind of calculating look. This is Desiree, and then Darby, this kind of, sheepish girl just gives you a little wave. And the flamboyantly gay guy just kind of sniffs as he says, "Oh, and that's Romaine." He says, "Here, all of the pages they end up getting cut and collated by the machines, and then they get folded. Folding's like a real art. If you get it wrong, everything just kind of spills out, and you have to put extra space in if you're going to have an insert in, and these things put the inserts in as well. We would be lost without Desiree. She's really essential to the whole process. At which
like
point,
a paper jam on a colossal scale.
Desiree turns around and says, "That has never happened under me."
Fair play.
And he goes, so yeah, I mean, this is most of the night crew. I mean, once you get everything's just set up during the day. These guys are just checking over everything and making sure it's all ready to go, and then afterwards, just making sure it starts up properly. Once it all gets folded and things like that, it comes out. You've probably seen, like on the TV, the papers all neatly kind of stacked on each other, kind of diagonal on top of each other. And the people who are most busy, and you can hear that there's shouting and swearing and all the rest of it from a pair of doors. And you can tell there's a cold wind coming in. It's been fairly temperate up until now. He goes through a pair of very heavily scarred double doors with like the plastic at the bottom of them just wobbling around at the bottom. And you can hear shouting and swearing of a few different languages as people are just making up their workstations, getting ready to basically be pelted by thousands upon thousands of newspapers. You can see the pallets are being prepared and stacked. Binder tape is being sorted out. You've got people who are talking about their lifter not working, and it's chaos. It's just absolute chaos. In the middle of it all is a kind of a stout Welsh woman who's just screaming at the top of her lungs in several languages. So she's skipping between languages, what you think is Polish, then going back to Italian, and then going and speaking to a bunch of people in what you think might be Greek. And she's just buzzing backwards and forwards, getting all these guys in line. And he goes, Bernie, I like Bernie. She gets things done. Bernie, and it comes out, rolling her sleeves up. You can see there's calluses down the ridge of her arm, going down to this. Her elbow looks like it's a pumice stone. And she goes, "Oh, so listen, and what's this lot? Well, 11 o'clock. They're buggering off, right?" And he goes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll be out your hair. Don't worry.
All right, you got us till 11 then. Come and speak to any of them there, but my boys don't go back there. They don't go into the machinery, so there's no reason for you to come here. But we're not hiding anything, so you can come here. Got it?
Nah, fair enough. Fair
Okay,
enough.
right. That's fine. That's fine. Show him the offices. Ed was like, yeah, I was just about to. He takes you through the side door, up a huge amount of spiral stairs, clearly going above the level of the press itself, and shows you the offices. He goes, okay, so we got board offices at the end there. Take a look around, whatever you want. Most people have taken their stuff home to work from home anyway. We've got the press room itself, which isn't really a press room. The press room's downstairs, but people like to call it the press room. It's where all the writers get together, decide how it's going to go. It used to be that, they used to do that in the press room, but they don't anymore. IT and Interactive are over there. You may want to go and speak to one of them. Cammy's in there. And you can see in this dark room lit by a monitor that seems to be a mixture of green and blue, a pair of brown specks looks up over the screen and then just slinks back behind the screen again. He goes, Cammy is
IT?
Yes. Cammy is IT. Very IT.
Yeah.
All you need to say, really.
Is that radios as well, or is that somewhere else?
Radios.
Aye.
Radios. It's just a system, and he takes you into a little side room and says, "Here you go." It's basically a server. They put it in. We don't touch it. Well, we log in new headsets every now and again, but that's about it. If you want, and he goes off and switches a bunch of headsets on and goes, "Here you go," and each of you has a set of Sensei headsets. He goes, when it gets a bit noisy downstairs, put those on. Everybody nearby will be able to hear you. It's got a 20-meter range. You can change that, by the way. There's a little knob on the side here. If you turn it all the way to the top, everyone in the building will hear you, and they'll hate you for it. So don't.
Right. Yep.
So Cammy keeps the website running because people read her website all around the world. She doesn't add anything that happens in the day. She just keeps the function. And the guys in the docks, they load the papers. Everybody else just responsible for that. So you're not alone, but everyone's kind of, in twos and threes.
Right. Yeah.
Which is why it could be easy for somebody to slope away and sabotage. Yeah. But we just don't know how we do it. We didn't find a single trace of Reading. We went round with cotton wool swabs afterwards trying to find it. Couldn't find it. Anyway. That's freaking us out, man. We think it might be like some sort of joke ink. Yeah, like you can get that joke ink that you put it on stuff and it turns invisible. Well, how about joke ink that you put it in, it looks black? And don't say this to Helena. She'll kill me for even suggesting it. But it could be that it looked black. You put it in, it goes through the printer, turns red. Yeah.
Right, like he activated or something.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, but I didn't say it. Yeah.
No.
I didn't say it. So, anyway, just do what you can. Yeah, I know where you're from. No one else here does. Tell him. Don't tell him. Probably best don't tell him. I know some people. If you told them, they might agree with you. I don't know.
Well, I've in my year or so done it. I've never found anything. So don't worry. I'm sure there's like some actual proper explanation for it.
Okay. So not biased. Like it. It's kind of who we are,
Yeah, take it on the evidence.
Yeah. That's how the Revali's always been. I went and worked for a paper that should not be named, and realised that the truth was the last bloody thing they cared about. So I came here, and pay isn't as good. But I tell you what, I feel like I'm a journalist.
Yeah. I mean, you and me, same boat, mate. We were doing terrible, like we were doing recording corporate like meetings and stuff, and it was just the worst fucking job. Yeah. So I gave it up, and wow, as you can see now, living me life, enjoying myself.
Well, that's what Owen would have wanted. Yeah. I don't know what he would have made of all this, but I know he would have wanted the truth. Yeah. So anyway, If you need me, you got my number. You got the number of some of the other guys as well. If you think they might be involved, some of them are going to be less happy to speak to you than others.
Any we should avoid specifically?
Probably Evan. He's our
Right.
chief press engineer. It's his job to come in every day, make sure everything is set up so that it's just touch and go in the night. He's touchy, yeah. I told him my theory about color changing ink, and he called me a fucking idiot. But you got the right to call him. Yeah, you know we need results on this one. So
yeah.
Just do what you can. Yeah. Anyway, so don't forget those locations. Yeah, you can use any of them. Stores, Real Room, Press, Folder Ops, the docks, IT and offices. You got access everywhere. All the doors are unlocked. Who knows? Maybe Saboteur will try and come back tonight. Just do what you can.
Yeah. Let's see what I can do.
I'll say my phone's on. I'm accustomed to being called all hours of the night. I'm going to go and get some shut eye, but I'll answer my phone if it rings. Okay?
Sure. Yeah, you're right. You're looking a bit scrambled.
Been a lot going on. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Lot going on, and this was like the cherry on the cake. You know, I've been involved with making up the new site, talking about the policy changes. A lot of people don't like Gary, so
right. Yeah.
jury's still out for me as well. So we'll see.
I was going to ask, sorry, before you head off.
No, you go ahead.
You got any opinions about the games being played at the top?
Gary says he's still going to be fact-based, but he's going to make it more approachable. I don't know what that means.
Right.
Don't know what that means. I mean, technically speaking, your tabloids will give you a fact that they found, but then they'll spin it, and they'll spin it so much that fact doesn't mean anything anymore. That's not making it digestible. Yeah, and everybody knows that.
Corporate buzzwords, then.
Yeah, I mean, it these days tabloids are 50% clickbait and 50% being told what to print by people who are paying you behind the scenes, right? Ravalli's never been about that. Yeah, never. Right? We got a bit political leanings, sure. There's people we don't like. Yeah. Largely because they're not about truth. Yeah. We like people who I mean, technically we're against every politician, right? Because we're about truth. But you know how it is. Some are more about just making the truth easier to swallow because they're going to ask things of the country that the country doesn't necessarily want. And then there's other people who are just, I don't know, lies are just the MO. You know, why tell the truth? Those guys. And we just always been against those guys, you know? So do what you can. I mean, Gary, his heart's in the right place, but we just don't know whether or not what he proposes is going to change things, yeah? We're okay with some change. We're okay with growing. We're okay with, keeping up with the Joneses in terms of efficiency and all that bollocks. But there's some things that just should never change, you know? The soul and center is what Owen would have said. You keep that. Everything else can change. But the soul and center, there's some rules that you just don't break. Ever. He told me that before he died. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting nostalgic. But no, so the games, that could be a reason why people are a bit rebellious. Yeah, means a lot to them. There's believers here. Yeah, believers in what we do. I'm one of them. Yeah, maybe some of them are being a bit more activist than maybe they should. Anyway, I'm wasting your time. You only got till 11, so get cracking, get stuck in there. Access all areas. Yeah, we're an open book. Right. Okay. See you later. And he goes off. You can see that his feet are dragging slightly. He's lethargic. A door that you're sure he's gone through many times. He pushes it, and you're supposed to pull it. So there's this. As he's there, he kind of pushes his weight against it, and there's this whoop, 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 and then he pulls it and then kind of stumbles out to his car. Probably should not be driving home, but Anyway. Okay, investigators, you've got all the premise that you need. What would you like to do?
So, what are your first impressions? Someone out of spite or something more?
I'm not really sure, honestly. I mean, all the politics there's gonna be something going on there. I mean, unless it's all real. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I was gonna try and set up some like sound traps and stuff in like maybe some surreptitious places. See what we can get. I don't know. And I want to tap into radio, see if we can get like a live feed from everywhere, and then from like a radio that's got zero range, so you can't hear anyone. See if anyone's been able to kind of override that.
You can do that from here. So you can just pick up one of the headsets, just turn it all the way down, and yeah, you can set up a mic on it and all the rest of it. No problem at all.
I've got one of these tiny little like laptops, one of the Linux ones that you can carry everywhere.
Your character seems like a Linux boy, so yeah, we're going to go with that. Yeah.
I'm going to register basically all of my microphones as much as I can wirelessly. Like, I'm not sure on range and like floors and ceilings and stuff.
It's okay. You've got narrative ability here, so
fair enough.
Oh, and hello, Kate. You get the microphones all set up. I'm going to say for the purpose of brevity, you get all that set up. You've been doing it as you've been walking around.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. Microphones are set up in all the places you've visited so far, and are there any that we haven't talked about so far that you would like to put them into? Is there anything that you would like to?
Nothing specific, just like corners of rooms and stuff.
Sure.
But there is basically one I want to put in like what is it? The printing room, but with the EM trigger on.
Okay.
Basically, not going to record anything unless the EM trigger goes off.
Sure. Okay. So, if there's an EM spike, you kind of record the background EM because large machinery going off. And once you're happy with the baseline, you tag that, and if it shoots above that baseline, it will start recording. So, your audio equipment is set up. What would you like to do, investigators?
Did any of them catch your eye as particular, I don't know, suspects?
No. I mean, not really. I kind of want to just have a look around, make sure everything's above board and that. Like, this has only been happening for a little while, so I'd like to, have a look back and see what was going on when it started. You know, what were they printing the day before, that kind of thing. Maybe talk to the lady in IT, see if they got it online or something. Save me worrying everyone.
Oh yeah, what was the? Do you know what the article was that they were printing that got shamed?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I'll have to
I'd
look
have to
that
go
up.
and check it out. It's kind of
Is there a copy of yesterday's newspaper that we could?
You can see in the press room, which is basically the writer's room, you can see that on a couple of the tables there are newspapers printed solely with red ink.
Huh.
It's kind of an open plan office, so you can kind of see it even through the windows.
Okay, well, I could probably start over there and go back and check them all out. And read back a few days, see what's going on.
Right, yeah. Well, I'm going to be on this laptop for most of the time, so you do that, and I'll keep monitoring these.
Okay. You have got a set of comms, so even though you're at your laptop, Marcus, you can get them to ask questions via you. For the sake of brevity, rather than repeating it, just ask a question, and we will say that they
text it through or something.
Sure. Sean, did you say you were going to go and pick up one of the red newspapers?
Yeah, I want to start examining the newspapers, see what was going on.
Sure.
Really, find out what kind of articles this was appearing in. Is there a pattern, that kind of stuff?
Okay. Well, the Reveille is it's kind of a mixture between the Metro and a UK-wide newspaper. In fact, the Metro these days is a UK-wide newspaper, but it's like, here's the world in Londoner kind of thing. But the Reveille is kind of the same in that it is London-centric, but it talks about a lot of things from around the world. You can tell that most of the writers are UK writers, but then they have correspondence that they work off to be able to just collate all of the world information. And any of you who read the newspapers, Nikki, you are probably the most likely to have read the Reveille before. It's some people love it because...
Do they have a crossword?
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. It has all the usual elements. The crossword rivals the Times. It's old fashioned in how they do their crossword as well.
It's possible she's a weekly subscriber then.
Yeah, they put Sudoku in for a while until there was an uproar. It was one of those things that they don't like change. From their reader base that readers like reading global news, even though it's a very small London-centric, UK-centric paper. They like it because they do like a lot of the fact-checking for you. So there's people who will just read the Reveille and nothing else. Again, they seem to be... There's certain characters that they don't like in politics, but they don't seem to take a side either. So for me, this is almost a fantasy newspaper because I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist. You know that it's fairly well balanced the way that it works, so this red inked newspaper, there's copies for all of you, obviously. You can see that it's mostly the same from what you would expect. Front page tends to be something that is local and grabbing. But then it has got world sections. It's got kind of like an almost Nat Geo section as well, where it tells you interesting things from around the world. It has culture sections and things like that as well. Now, the one thing that you do notice is that normally this newspaper is not that interested in scandal. They don't really care about it, unless it's a scandal at a very high level that has an impact on the public. They don't go for like royal scandals because that has no impact. Scandals with like a politician that has kind of screwed around with the budget or has broken international law or something like that. That's something that they will report on because that is a relevant and mechanical scandal. Anything where it's just like someone's cheated on somebody else or the latest thing on Celebrity Love Island, they don't touch that shit. Yeah.
So not like social scandals.
No, social scandals they don't really go in for, which is why the first thing that jumps out at you is that there's one of those in the newspaper. So it's talking about rugby player Hans Abram. Okay, Hans Abram is with the Wasps rugby team. And is their star at the moment. It's the reason why the Wasps are doing incredibly well. The scandal is revealed as gay by former lover. Family devastated and requests that they do not be contacted by the press. It's just looking at it at a glance. Bear in mind, this is a story that didn't make the news because it all got printed in red with shame through it. And you can see as you're reading the article, it says shame. Pretty much every 7th or 8th word gets replaced with the word shame. However, this isn't something that happens just in this article. The word shame is every 7th or 8th word throughout the entire paper. Yeah. In fact, a couple of the 2nd and 3rd headlines have the word shame in it, in block capitals. That's the first thing, is that it's just got a story in there that just doesn't seem to make sense. A story that seems to make more sense is that it does talk about another scandal, and that is a local London councillor, Safi Higgs, is suspected of a funding scandal. She's part of the Docklands Development Committee. The parts of London that still haven't kind of been brought up to the bright and beautiful stuff that you see with the cable car and XL and the London Eye and all the rest of it. She's kind of one of the big people who are pushing that forward. So apparently there's been some missing funds from the Docklands Development Committee, and it's being put squarely on her. Now that's something that's a little more, they're kind of like righteous outrage of how dare she, yeah. Looking at the story, okay, with the word shame punctuating it and replacing certain words, it looks like maybe not their best work, but it looks like the right thing. You can also see that it's talking about a lot of the development work that's happening down the docks as well. So outlaying it with maps and things like that. There's a building that's just called Shame, so you're not sure what that's going to be. Yeah, it's all in red. Everything is in red. The color, the one part that's like kind of color adverts and things like that is all red as well. And so yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And the red is not a red that you'd normally see in printed ink. A lot of tabloids have like red title bars. This is more of a deeper red, like a kind of a blood red. Yeah. So that may be a clue to you that it's maybe just not the right color red. So yeah, you can see that it's slightly different. You can see that Gary's already maybe getting his hand in on this. Just some of the wording, some of the layout, some things are prioritized above the others. And I'm going to say that because you've got Roxy, who has, Nikki, who's got a keen eye and a literate eye. So I'm going to give you that information right from the start, is that you can see, based on the ones that you have read, that there is already a style difference.
Does it say, is there anything about perhaps the move of the newspaper itself? Is there any mention of Gary, and who wrote the 2 articles on the rugby player and Saffy Higgs? Sorry, too many questions.
No, that's great. That's great. So first of all, yes, actually it's Gary himself who's writing the editorial. He's put himself in there, big smiling face, all in red. He is he's writing with this this really cheerful, optimistic, saying that it's the penultimate paper, and that tomorrow's paper will be one that you need to take and preserve, because it's the last one that's going to be done inside the central city of London before they move out towards Elstree. And that it's a monumental thing, and there's actually going to be a bit of a party here in this printing house, party that's no longer happening, as you can tell, when they switch it off. Instead, you can see up on a whiteboard that has the details of all the different stories that you can see in this paper, and a few that you can't see in this paper that you think is part of today's press. So clearly they've taken some of the stories and they're rolling them onto today, and some of them are already yesterday's news, literally. And you can see that one of the things they've crossed out the party, the shutdown party, and instead all they're having is the speeches tomorrow morning, where they're going to watch the last of the vans leaving with the newspaper, and they're going to be instead doing a speech and closing the gates formally. You said the people who were the reporters for the 2 things. So the rugby player one, that was Sophie Benn, double N. And the councillor scandal, that was Harry Knapp, double P. You can tell I use a random name generator. So Harry Knapp is, you can see, because they've got their pictures up on the wall, Harry Knapp is an older guy, and he's kind of slightly unshaven. He's got a bit of a kind of overexposed face, maybe spent some time abroad. His picture actually looks quite new, though. Whereas Sophie Benn is young, She's in her mid-20s, I would say. So probably one of the youngest journalists there. Her picture is also fairly new, and she is grinning from ear to ear. She's got this maniacal grin on her face. So pleased, clearly, to be working for the Revali. You've got the mixture of the young and the old there. So young Sophie did the rugby player, and older Harry did the counsellor.
Thank you.
Is there a change in the newspaper from when the shame starts to appear? Is it like the whole newspaper goes red, or is it once we get to this? The whole newspaper, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The newspaper that you're holding, the entire thing is in red, and shame is punctuating all the way throughout.
So it's not like there's a trigger that's changing it, it's just all the thing. Okay.
If there was, it wasn't in this newspaper.
Looking at, are there any copies on the desk that don't look like they're printed in red of yesterday's news?
Yes. Again, with your background and the fact that you thought to look, there is definitely one of them that has all of the words shame taken out. And you're a print editor. See, I can use stuff. You can see that you think this is probably beginning of the run. You can't see any trails on this one. You know that every now and again, especially when you're making your dictionaries, that every now and again you have to stop and the certain batch sizes where after a while there's imperfections that come in. This happens more in newspapers because you don't expect newspapers to be at a super high standard. They're only going to be used for one day, one read, in fact. So there are certain things called trails that do appear after a while. You can mostly see them in the little perforations that allow them to hook onto the paper and push it through the machine. This one seems to be very clean. Obviously it hasn't left the building, and it was taken straight off the press. This is immaculate. So you're suspecting that the beginning of the run was black and normal.
I don't know enough about printing to know how often they'd have to, if they'd have to stop it or anything, but it implies that something happened sort of mid-run then.
Well, it's a good thing we've got a building full of people who know a lot about printing then.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I was about to tell you the answer and went, hang on, no, they've got to ask people. They're surrounded by SMEs. What the fuck? So...
Right, well, all my stuff seems to be online, so I'm going to have a nice cup of tea and a conversation. See you in a bit. Laptop closed, and I'm going to walk back to the first room to have a chat with... Who was it? It was...
Cami of IT?
Cami, thank you, yes.
Sure. So you notice that Cami's room is probably good for two reasons. For one thing, she's got an espresso machine. You go in there, you can see that it's quite clearly a communal one, being that there's a rotor for arranging the capsules. And as you come in through the door, almost like an animal in its nest, Cami's head snaps around, and all you can see that she is on her three screens in front of her, which I'm taking directly from Ed because he said the other day that he has three screens. You can see that the green glow that you saw before is actually her reading and interest website. It's about crafting. It's basically kind of a hobbycraft website. She's looking how to do a particular type of crochet. You can't see any kind of the paraphernalia around, so she's clearly not doing it on the job. But she's also waiting. There's an IT ticket system, which I'm sorry, Ed, I know that I'm giving you a busman's holiday here. There's an IT ticket system on her left-hand screen that's quite clearly not got any tickets. It's a really, really quiet night. So she's just waiting for things to come in. Probably with everything being moved and all the rest of it, they've got rid of all of the side tasks that you would normally have in a place like this. The place is going to shut down tomorrow morning. So she's clearly bored and trying to keep herself awake. You can see a very large tumble knot cup So that's a Star Trek cup for people who don't know. Tumble Knock cup of coffee that's slightly steaming by her side. Her head snaps around and she goes, "Are you here for me?"
Well, I was here for tea, honestly. I was told this was a place to make a brew.
Yeah, we got the best stuff.
Right.
It's just over there.
I'm Marcus, by the way.
Cammy.
Right, nice to meet you. Gonna busy myself making a cup of tea and kind of let the awkwardness dissipate a little bit.
You can
Probably
see
won't,
the tension in her shoulders disappearing as you make the cup of tea, where she thinks she's got away with it, but we know that no such luck. You have a feeling that she's not the most social of people.
That's all
or
right.
at least
I can make up for the both of us.
She's social online, maybe.
Right, yeah.
And so you make your cup of tea.
Can you tell this is my wish fulfillment, being able to talk to strangers?
This is why we play RPGs.
I'll finish making my cup of tea, and as I kind of turn around, sorry, I couldn't help but notice, but you've got IT system kind of up and running. It doesn't deal with any of the printing stuff, does it?
The tension starts to build up, and then you talk shop, and she kind of gets to an equilibrium. And she goes, "Oh, no, oh, yes, no, yes. Yes, but not me."
Right.
So, yeah, I'm just websites. That's all I do. I'm interactive. I mean, I can help them if the computer gets a bit weird, because most of these guys, I don't want to kind of speak ill of them, but they're of an older generation, maybe, don't like, they're just not into it as much as anybody else. So yeah, I'll go down and I help them out and stuff. They're normally quite polite about it, not to the computer, but they are to me. But yeah, for me, it's just as if people they got problems with the subscriptions or something like that. Normally the kind of overseas clients. Also we got a second second set of tickets that we can do, and that's from other journalists around the world, and some of our guys around the world. So I man the phones for them. If they want if they want like PDFs of other reports, I send it to them around the world.
Yeah, awesome. So the system downstairs is completely like separated from all these servers and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know how it is. Oh, sorry, you might know how it is.
I'm gonna flip open the laptop, and it's like
show your credentials. I have Linux.
Yeah. Not just Linux, Arch Linux.
Oh, okay. I'm going to pretend I know what that is and move on.
Yeah.
From scratch. It comes with nothing, not even internet.
My nightmare. I tried Ubuntu once and just was like, "Who's got fucking time for this?" and threw it out. She realizes that she's in company that will understand, and she goes, "Well, it's just like the lowest paid guy they could do with some Visual Basic skills. It's just enough to interface with the machines and a little bit of a GUI that's nice and pretty, and that's about it. It doesn't really interface with anything else.
So not like internet enabled, or anything.
That's a new place. That's the new place. The whole thing's just run by computers in a new place.
Right. So how does stuff get on like acetate to be printed and stuff?
Oh, still the old-fashioned way. They got.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah. So behind the press room, there's an acetate proofing lab, but they do that in the day. They gotta. That's what the day is really. It's getting all of the acetate sorted out. So we call them the gels. So yeah, it's all the gels. They do that during the day, and once they're happy with all that, they print off one and a spare for each of them.
Right.
And then it's down to Helena and that the other. Oh, I've got the fucking names wrong right from the start. It's down to I got it right. It's down to Helena and that to put them in place. That's a lot of organisation more than anything else. She doesn't really know much about the acetates. That's the lab. They put them in place, and they make sure that because the problem is that once the thing gets going, if you haven't put it in properly and you haven't put it in nice and square, it does tend to start going after a while, and next thing you know, it starts to travel. Yeah.
Right, and then
So you
got to
put
like
all the
stop and
pins in.
start again.
Yeah, and you know the thing where they say stop the presses. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. I mean, we don't do that. The reason I think they did it in The Simpsons once, where Homer said stop the presses, and then they said, "Do you know how long it takes to get the press going again?" That's true. That's true. I mean, we're in like a 3-hour setup here now, and depending on how you stop it, you might have to do all 3 hours again. Which means, of course, you've got all the bloody drivers who are all queuing up down the street, and in the middle of London, that's chaos. Yeah. We've had congestion charges before just for like 15 minutes.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to be just peppering you with questions.
No, it's all right. You're all right.
But like radio system, is that like entirely separate? Is that under anyone's purview here, or is it like a contractor?
No, I took a look at it at some point as well, but it's kind of the same thing. It's proprietary software.
Right,
you either know you either know it or you don't. I mean, the back end of it's crap. I did go in there once before and just get around the password just to put a new one on the system because somebody's cans came off the system. But I mean, it's all right. It does a job.
Like internet connectors or anything? Anyone get in from outside?
Onto that? Nah.
Right. Okay.
They normally end up having to put all of the updates on a dongle.
Oh, right. It's like a proper like air gap thing.
Oh yeah, this place is a dinosaur. You can tell why people are wanting to move to the new place.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And like, is it proper radio? Like, what's the protocol for the actual sound? Are we talking proper radio waves? Or are we talking like Wi-Fi?
Or it's just sorry, it's radio waves, but sometimes they crap out, so they go through the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's triple band. Yeah, it's really good. They're meant for like building sites, like. So if you walk past a generator, 2 of them will crap out, but the third will kick in.
Okay. Right. Oh, thanks for having a chat. Guess we'll keep walking around.
Okay. Yeah. You got any problems? You can come and talk.
Yeah, we'll do. Oh, one more thing. CCTV. Any CCTV around that is accessed from up here? Or
yeah, it's all over the place. Yeah. I don't know why nobody want to. I mean, it's the crap stuff. It's really old. It's got to be like what? It's got to be late 80s CCTV.
Like VHS? Are we talking?
Oh yeah. So VHS. Oh yeah. It's that room over there. There's VHS tapes of everything. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's it's a slightly different tape. It's a weird square tape that they put in there, but a bit like an old server tape they use.
We're talking proprietary again.
Not so much that. It's just that it was a standalone system back in the 80s.
Right.
So, I don't think that you're going to get much from it. I mean, if you want to look at any one particular place, you want to look at the press rooms or anything like that, but they already looked through them all. They didn't see anything.
Yeah, I thought they might have, but
maybe you'll see something they didn't do. But
I don't know.
Okay.
Right, cheers.
And she takes a slurp of her coffee and kind of, feeling the accomplishment of having socialized. You step on out. What else would you like to get guys like to do?
I'd quite like to go and start checking around the writers' area, see what editorial content's coming up, see if there's any other kind of similar scandals that could cause a problem tonight or in the future, or just get a look at what they're doing. I'm snooping.
Okay. You can see that there's a triage hopper. Okay, so they have it's a magnetic whiteboard. They've put down what are basically clips of intended articles. You can tell they're not final proof. Well, you can tell they're not polished, I guess. They're straight off Word. Yeah, that much you do recognize. Yeah, Nikki would recognize it more. And they've put it on with magnetic pegs, and it goes up and down the hopper as to how likely it's going to be in the paper. Yeah. and it's got a dotted line that's been put in insulation tape across the whiteboard, and it seems to be that everything that's above the line is going to be in the paper. And there seems to be a second line in a different color tape, which is like it could go in, but it's not going to. Yeah, probably because they just don't have the space. And then below that line is the fuck no, we are not doing this. And you can see there's the Celebrity Love Island shit down there. So you can see that somebody has written on I hate this system, and it's been rubbed off, but as all betraying whiteboards do, anything that you want to erase properly somehow still manages to turn up in abstract. It was recently put on there. And looking at the insulation tape, it's quite recent. Maybe one of Gary's editions.
Okay. Okay.
So most of the scandals you'd see. Yeah, Gary's office is here. He pointed to where all the boards are.
Is there a door that's locked, or can I just head straight?
All the doors are open.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm going at Gary's office.
Sure.
I'm going through all the drawers. I'm just looking for anything.
Most of the drawers seem to have been cleared out, or as a policy, they do everything of note is on his laptop or in his briefcase. There's stationery, and you can see that there's some receipts that he clearly hasn't booked in yet, and that is to some of the more well-to-do clubs in the city, effectively gentlemen's clubs. And by gentlemen's clubs, I don't mean strip joints. I mean the old-fashioned types of gentlemen's clubs that you can still find in London, where boring old white guys sit around, normally drinking, smoking, or eating something that will hasten their demise. And so, there's that. You can see that he has wined and dined to a certain degree. And there's not a huge amount more that you would get.
Yeah, fair. Is there any sign of Owen? Like, is like any old portraits or old stuff of Owen's hanging around?
Yes,
I imagine
definitely.
This is like an inherited room.
Yeah, so not in that room, but in that corridor, there are 2 portraits of Owen. So the first one is an incredibly old portrait that you think was probably commissioned when the Reveille was first created. Dashing young man, and clearly passionate, if not hungry, for something. And the most recent one is, and just looking at it, looks newer, done by a different artist quite clearly, and it's a much older Owen with his hand on the shoulder of your employer. And so, great-grandson and founder, portrait of them together. You can see that there are other portraits that you can presume are others of the line. You can see that it went from Owen to his daughter, to her son, to his son.
Are there any dates on the portrait as to when he perhaps when he died or when he retired? Did he retire, or did he die and it sort of passed on?
He died in semi-retirement. He can never take his hand off the paper. That much you know about. There was a very, that would have been part of your background that you had been given. Owen never really took his hand off the reins, even when he died at 81, reasonable age. He died about 3 hours after a meeting where he was talking about the future of publishing, the future of journalism. And so, yeah, he never really left the paper in that sense. And yeah, he died about 3 years ago.
Okay, so quite recently then.
Yeah, he stuck on for a while. Yeah.
And when you say 3 hours after a meeting, are we talking in the building?
No. By that it would have been teleconference. He died in his sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, they think his heart just gave up. It wasn't a heart attack, but they think his heart just stopped.
Mm.
Yeah.
And this was Owen, just to be
Yes.
100% clear.
Yeah.
Cool.
Owen Weston, founder of the
Yep.
Revelli. Yeah.
Cool.
You know that the Owen's daughter that took over it is now she's on the board, but she no longer gets involved. She is retired. Her son, who is John's father, Andrew Weston, died in a skiing accident, and that was about 7 years ago. He never really cared that much about the Revelli, more cared about the money that it brought in. So he was only de facto head for a short period of time, enough to pass it on to John.
And how long's John been head?
John's been head for about 6 years. He took a year out mourning for his father, but then came back stronger than ever, and started really kind of ploughing on with keeping the Revelli line, keeping it so that it was as Owen would intended. He doted on his great grandfather.
Does he have a family that we know about?
John, no. At the moment, he's single, no children.
Okay. Well, I guess if nobody else has got any ideas, I'm going to just take a glance through the CCTV, see if I can figure out this old system.
Okay. You go through at high speed, obviously, and you see that the press gets set up. It starts running. You start getting that wonderful view of this huge ream of paper going through. You actually see them connecting the markers up so that one reel goes into the next reel. It's fascinating stuff. Yes, in order to run this, I did my research. I was on YouTube a long time. Yeah, I got fascinated by it after a while. But then you watch as suddenly it turns red. You stop, you rewind it, you watch it. The color on this is not great. It's almost grayscale, but you can
color
see
at all.
Yeah, I mean it is like it's so bad. It looks like a 60s safety video. Yeah, actually 70s, because 60s probably would still be black and white for a safety video. But yeah, it's that horrible washed out color.
Yeah.
It's really shit. But you do see the change in tone, and you go to just before it happened, go a little bit further back, you watch it, scrutinize the screen. It's crackly, it's shit. It crackles a bit when it happens, which makes you kind of think, "Ooh, EM." But then nothing other than a slight crackle on the screen just before the color changes. Not really anything to write home about. One thing that I will give you, from what you can tell, based on your background, the reactions of shock by everyone when they see the color change seem to be genuine.
Okay. I'm going to shout back to the other two and say, do either of you find out what was on the front page today?
Oh yeah, no.
Looking at the whiteboard, what was on the front page for?
The front page for today is the new plans for the Olympic Village from the last London Olympics. And it's all fallen by the wayside. They want to bring it back up to speed. And there's a lot of angles with regard to Brexit and all the rest of it of boosting the national identity. The Reveille doesn't seem to be pro it. It's just reporting the facts that's where the efforts are. Seems to be fairly straightforward. And there is a little byline because it's sport related that goes to the rugby player. So the rugby player's scandal is mentioned on the front page, but just a tiny byline, see page, blah. And it's quite far back. It's page 23. So they're not making a huge thing out of it, but it is there.
But it's still made its way into a second day of news.
They seem to be retaining, that story, and of course they're retaining the councillor's story. Yeah. Safi Higgs. That's on page 2.
Are there any new scandalous things that made it above the line that are going in today?
Not really. I mean, there's a few things that's there that that seem to be considered to be worthy. So of the scandal side of it all, they're not really what you would consider to be shock horror scandals. There's a few bits about with COVID and shopping. Some people who are trying their luck to try to get Oxford Street running, basically. And there's a lot of lobbyists at the moment who are trying to get it so that they can have their Christmas flurry. That's what they're worried about at the moment, is a Christmas flurry, so that they can get everybody maniacally shopping before Christmas. There's a huge lean at the moment where they believe that Amazon's going to rule the roost this Christmas, rather than people going and hitting the high street. So that's a huge thing, and lobbyists are getting aggressive now, and money and bribes and all the usual kind of backhander bullshit is getting in there, and those are floating to the top. You can see that there are 3 politicians in particular that are mentioned. So there's Andrew Marchant, just ticking off that I mentioned him. So Andrew Marchant has been reportedly taking bribes. He is part of the COVID emergency committee. The second one is Vanessa Ten. That's TEHN. Same thing. And the third one is Francesca. What was her surname? Martin. Fran Martin. And so, yeah, those 3 in combination are all accused of taking bribes. There's other backhander things where it's going through like companies that are affiliated with their families and all the rest of it. They seem to be the top scandals that are going into this newspaper tonight. And the of those newspapers, of those ones there, they're kind of at the top. They are above the line. They are going to make it into the paper. Doesn't seem to be too off the Reveille's mark here. They seem to be the type of thing that you would expect them to do. Calling people out, holding them accountable. The Reveille have never had a problem doing that. Okay. And so, yeah, they are kind of top of the tree at the moment. And yeah, that seems to be it. You do have one thing, and that is Andrew Marchant has gone into hiding and has done so since a couple of days ago, ever since the accusations. That would be on the board.
Some things that occurred to me that might not occur to my character, but might occur to Roxy's character. The words replaced by shame. We've got 2 papers. Can we cross-examine and see if they write anything?
Okay. Yeah, I love it. You start listing all the words.
Are they the same in every copy of the newspaper? Not obviously we've got one that is sort of fine, but is it the same words that have been blanked out in sort of the other copies?
Yes, your background means that you automatically succeed on this. It's always the same words that are replaced by shame in every copy of the paper. You start making a list. To start with, it doesn't seem to be much of a correlation about it all. You do notice that in some cases, several times the same word is replaced by shame. Some of them are like is and of, which sure, you'd kind of expect that. They're in the word, they're in the thing enough. Of the top 10, let me just grab the top 10. You have is and of her, lie. Sorry, trying to get this right in my head. Yeah, is and of her, lie, check, fact, and she. I think that's all of them.
Interesting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the top 8. Yeah, sorry, not top 10, top 8. The rest are all much of a muchness, so that's where the bell curve is. Yeah. Whether it's down to luck or down to some words being more common than others. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting that it took fact and check, but the word fact check or fact checking, you've kind of lumped checking and check together, is being used a lot recently. So, yeah.
Okay.
Well, in that case, I think Nikki's going to probably go and she's sussed that the people who are possibly going to be the most talkative, not necessarily the most useful, but definitely the most talkative, are probably going to be Desiree, is it Darby and Romaine?
Yeah, so you've got
down right.
No, you got them right. Yeah, so Desiree Lucinda is the folder up, and the two supervisors under her are Darby Red and Romaine Glenn. You've been given like a list of names. Yeah. So are you going to the folder room?
Yes, I think she will.
Okay.
And she's got her headset on and everything. So.
Sure. Okay. You go down to the folder room, and you start. And Desiree walks up to you and says, "Yes, miss. How can I help you?"
You said that there's never been a mistake like this under you. What happened?
Well, this is not a mistake that happens under me. This is not a folder issue. This is an ink issue. You want the press room? Yes. Helene will be able to tell you more about that. But I can say that she is a consummate professional. She is she came here. Her husband worked here originally, but now he works for a different company. And yes, he is. He was very good at his job. She was very good at her job. They married. Typical workplace romance. But yes, she's hardly his shadow. She far exceeds what he could do. And yes, I've never seen a flaw under her. And she checks everything meticulously, and she makes sure that anybody who works under her is meeting the grade before she stops checking their work, or at least stop checking every part of their work. Yes, the folding that day was perfect. So the spacing was fine, the insert was fine, everything was down the line. There was no chamfer at the end. It was perfect. It was just the wording that was wrong, which we that's the thing that we are most confused about. The ink. Edward has his theories regarding the ink. The ink Fair enough. We can imagine this. Figuring out a conjuring trick, yes, like Penn and Teller. You know Penn and Teller. You like them?
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
And yes, I like Penn. He's nice. Teller's too quiet. But yes, you can you try to figure out the trick. Yes, and yeah, you can imagine that you can put in the trick ink, and the trick ink does the thing, ha ha ha, whatever. But it's the words that are changing that is the thing that we can't figure out, because the acetates were perfect, and as I say, Helene checks all of the acetates. She doesn't just check that they are correctly seated; she checks that they are the correct ones. You could have the one from yesterday. And someone picks the one from yesterday instead of the one from today. They put it in there. Yesterday's news turns up in this paper. Less of a problem if it is all straight. You can just say it was intentional. You rerun the story or something like that. But no, we haven't even had that. How you can just start putting in the word shame? Yes. The only thing
Is there any way to change the acetate mid-run?
Mid-run, no. Once you've loaded the acetates onto the drums, or the gels as we call them, onto the drums, the lab calls them the acetates, we call them the gels. But yes, once you put them onto the drum and you end up closing it, the drum is going around at very high speed. Yes, it's got paper going onto it. It's going past the ink roller. It's moving around at something around 200, 300 RPM. Some of them. And yes, it's going around incredibly fast. There's no way that you can just in the middle of it just go in there, take your fingers off. Some people were there saying, could you just drop in the word shame and stick to the acetate? And fucking idiots. There's no way you could do that either. Anything you drop in there, it would just be obliterated like that. You've got space for paper and nothing else. If you were to go and put the word in, you'd have to put the word in right at the beginning with the gels. Well, you can take a look at the videotape. It starts off fine, no words, no red. The red turns to black. The black turns to red. Yes, we can imagine that. It does switch in cartridges throughout the run. That's something that you could do. Yes, but the words changing is something that we just cannot get our head around. Somebody said that one of the points to say that it could be on the acetates is that the words are always the same words, they're always in the same position. Yeah. We say that's still stupid because the words still changed. Yeah. You have a drum, 200, 300 RPM going round, paper, dan, 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 dan. You'll hear when we start doing the primer run. You see how fast it goes. Yeah. Or you can check the videos. You see how fast it goes. The print goes past, it's a blur. Yeah. That starts, nothing gets changed. You cannot change it. Yeah. You can make a couple of small changes. Maybe you can change the pressure that the paper's been pulled at. If you can see the paper is starting to get little ripples along the length of it, it's been pulled too hard, so you can change that. You can change the alignment very slightly. You can change the pressure of the ink if it starts getting a bit blobby, but that's it. That is it. You cannot change the words. How did they change the words?
That's what we're here to figure out.
Then you must be a genius at printing then, because we have everybody here. Most people here have 2 decades, at least. None of us can figure it. Maybe you're a magician, huh? You'd a better mind for it. Yeah.
You say that you've been here. How long have you been here?
Yeah, 23 years now.
And how is the move going to affect you much? Are you excited for this new thing, or will it change your job?
Yes and no. I mean, the skill of the folder is still only as Edward said. I mean, Edward he's not the most professional of people. Maybe I've had better bosses than him, but no, he's right when he says that folding is an art. It's like making clocks. Yeah, is the watchmaker. Yeah. You have to know how it all works. You can't just change one part of it. You change one part of it, it affects everything else. In order to get it right, most people don't understand when we do something correctly. When you see a newspaper flat, most people don't care about what we have done, but it's a bloody mess if we don't do what we do. This new place is going to have better systems. better computers. And told the chairs are going to be better too. I only had to walk around, didn't get to sit in them. But yes, when we go in, we've done some trial runs and things. And yes, when we go in, yeah, we're looking forward to it. Mostly the day staff have been doing the trial runs. I get to try out my new seat tomorrow night. Yeah.
And Gary, he is.
She purses her lips.
Excellent.
She goes, Gary is not one of us. He is a necessary evil, let's say. I'm going to be pleased with my new wage increase, but he better toe the line. He keeps us marketable, yes. Fine, sure, okay, we're good with that, but he keeps the Revali, yeah? Or he's going to have problems.
And guessing that you're not the only person who thinks that.
Some people think it more than me, other people less. But yeah, we are all passionate here. This is what we do. We are artisans, yeah?
Speaking frankly, who likes him the least? Who wants him to fail?
Who wants him to fail? I mean, Marie probably hates him because, well, it's not that she would admit it to you, but she had a crush on Owen back in the day. He was still older than her by some ways, but she looked up at him as a role model. Yeah, she when she first joined here, sure, she runs the stores now, but I think maybe she thought that she would become part of a bigger part of it all. She does not like Gary. Does she want him to fail? Maybe not, because for him to fail, the Revali would have to fail, and she wants the Revali to succeed. But maybe she wants him to be his mind to change, for him to be more of a Revali person. Still keep us going, but maybe just start to believe like we believe. But the way that he wants to make us marketable is to change the Revali. I don't think you could separate the two. So yeah, Sergey doesn't like him, doesn't like many people, but hates Gary. Always has done. Gary came down with some ideas for the new press, and more automation, and also talking about changing the font. Sergey he's a font hound. He's passionate about it. Did not like that at all. This font has been used right from the beginning of the newspaper. In fact, they inherited the original font from one of the older newspapers that you find in London. That was around at the same time as the Times.
Just a outside question: was the font of the word "shame" any different from the rest of the typeface?
Now you look at it; it was in the original font.
You have been most helpful. Thank you for your time.
Of course. As I say, we tuck, we fold, we make it neat and tidy. There's not much that you can get from us, but maybe now that she has seen that you're talking to me, and she points towards the door, and you can see that staring through the door, still glaring, but maybe it's softened a little bit, is Helena, looking at you as like, oh fuck, she's coming in my direction. And she's giving you the stink eye. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if she's right there, she's my next target, then I guess.
Sure.
Nikki would just sort of turn around, sort of see her, just like not looking particularly friendly, and Nikki's quite blunt, so she'll sort of give Desiree a sort of like a curt nod, and then she'll just sort of go over to Helena and say, "I hear you don't make mistakes, and I hear none of your people make mistakes."
In order for them to be making mistakes, they have to not be supervised. They're supervised until they don't make mistakes. Everyone's human, but you can check past that, yeah? Mistakes are made, yeah, but they're found.
And you would say there were no mistakes last night?
No. There was a maybe like a half a millimeter gap in one of the lines. You could just about tell, but other than that, no. And that was the lab. But we recorded it. We sent it back. But no. Sergey loaded. I loaded. He checked me. I checked him. Everything was in place. The only word shame that you would find throughout the entire thing, it was supposed to be there.
Was the word shame meant to be anywhere?
Yeah. There were 3 shames that were supposed to be there. Now you look at if you look back on your list, like shit. Need to check to see if any of these were supposed to be there. Yeah, the word shame was meant to be in there 3 times. Actually, you said you compared the 2, so yes, you did find that there were 3 uses of the word shame.
Were they all in the same article or in a different?
No, they were in context, scattered throughout the paper. Made sense to put that word there.
So, in your opinion, what went so wrong?
She's bristling. You can tell that she's bristling, and she looks at you and says, "Some sort of fucking joke." I don't know.
Not a very funny one.
She fucking the muscles in her face. You feel like you break fucking rocks on them right now. And she goes, "No." Her Adam's apple is going. Her eyes seem to be slightly glassy. She's upset. She's angry upset, but she's upset.
Were there any repercussions? Scoldings? Anything?
There are arguments, of course.
Blame?
Always. It's a company. They threatened Sergey to make him a supervisor. You probably don't know how that works. If you have the word "op" in your name, it means you've never made a mistake. Yeah. If you make a mistake, you become a supervisor. That means you're not the one doing it. You kind of do bits of it, but you're supervising. You're not the craftsman. Yeah. It's like that thing they call it the Peter principle. Do you know it? Or the what's that cartoon? Dilbert, where they make a job, and they move you to one side because you can't do your job. Sometimes they promote you instead. Yeah, they threatened him. And you can see Sergey doesn't like the fact that this is being recalled, and he's glaring, absolutely glaring. Big guy, fucking big guy. You can see he's got kind of like the square head of like Jason Statham type of head. He's got short. He's got kind of widow's peak going on, but he's shaved his hair so short that he's actually rocking it. He's got broad shoulders, clearly works out. He's got bags under his eyes, clearly a night shifter. And you can see that his personal hygiene could be a little bit better. But he's just glaring. Doesn't like the fact that's been mentioned. You can see that he's sat at a table, and instead of having like a paper in front of him, which in this place isn't necessarily a bad thing because he could be checking yesterday's paper, he's got what seems to be a set of forms and logs in front of him. He's filling in logs. Helena says, they think that we're responsible, you see. We put the gels in, we close the door on the gels. Nobody else can get past us here. So they think that we're the only people who could do that. And so they are either going to blame us because they think we're the saboteurs, or they're going to blame us because they think that we weren't watching when the saboteurs came and did it, when that's our job. So either we didn't do our job or we're saboteurs. We're going to have personal development meetings end of the week. So, yeah. We're pleased about that. Huh?
Not how you wanted this to end. All of this, then.
When she does the when she's talking about the PIP, she gives a little bit of attitude. She does a little bit of tipping the hip, but when you say that, it dissolves. The body language dissolves, and she goes, "We're good at what we do, you know. We're good at what we do." You notice that behind her, click, 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 bunch of lights that are red all go to green. Behind her.
If Nikki notices, she'd sort of point them out and say, "What are the lights for?"
Those are not supposed to be green. Those are not supposed to be green. Sergey. And she charges up to the control panel, and she goes, "No. They can't start. We haven't closed the doors on the gels yet." And Sergey starts to run towards the drums to try and tuck in the gels, and she goes, "Don't do that, you fool! If they start moving, you take your fucking arm off!" And she pulls him out of the way. This guy's big. She ends up having to put a foot onto his knee and pull him, pivoting him at the knee. He falls on the floor with a growl. And she goes, "We switch the fucking things off first." And he goes, "The gels there, break the gels." And she goes, "Fuck the gels!" And walks up to it, and all the lights go back to red. What the fuck?
Nikki is just standing in the room, like everyone, like I imagine she hears all this panicking, and she's just like sitting there with her notebook, like writing down, like in shorthand, exactly what is happening. Like there's no emotion. She doesn't look panicked or worried. She's just so focused on like trying to get everything down.
Helena looks like she's on the verge of tears. She's hyperventilating. You have a feeling that just by looking at her, you can feel the heart pumping in her chest. Sergey, from the floor, goes, "How can those switch on to green without these moving? That's what they're for. Those are the motor lights. They don't go green unless the motor is on."
Who turns the motor on?
He points to the keys next to each of the lights. "Those, we do."
From where she was standing, would Nikki have seen if anyone had turned them on?
Yes, you would have.
And did she see anything?
No. You just saw very pointedly lights going all the way across. It seemed noticeable at the time. Just the way that they switched. They kind of went from left to right. Yeah, it just seemed odd. It just didn't seem right for this equipment to do that. Sergei starts throwing a tantrum, starts screaming, "Somebody here been messing with my fucking stuff!" And he starts going around the back of the machinery, checking for things. You can see that he's scrutinizing every piece of wiring. He's checking the gels almost lovingly as he looks at each one, almost like he's beholding a piece of art. And you see he's shaking, fucking rage.
Marcus, Todd, are you getting this?
Hang on. I'm going to rewind on some of my recording equipment, see if I can find the bit that was happening just then.
Okay. So your recording equipment, you're going to go for sound?
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah. Slight amount of static before the very audible of the lights.
Just gonna roll back and see what they were talking about just before the lights.
The statement from Helena was, "We're good at our job. We know what we do." Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it. There's a little bit of static on the line, but let me come down, and I'm gonna come down and check the microphone, check the connection and the signal strength and all that jazz.
Sergei looks at you with this fucking look, because he suddenly checks out your gears there, looks at you almost as if to say, "Was it you?" And then kind of just in a moment of a little bit of shame, crossing his face and going, "Of course it wasn't you, it's a fucking microphone." And
Actually,
yeah,
I'm going to take a little bit of extra time and bring down some tea as well.
Sure. You do get told in no uncertain terms to put it over there and take it nowhere near the gels.
Right. Sorry,
but
just trying to be friendly.
They don't. They're obviously incredibly stressed, but they don't give you any more shit than they would anybody else.
Yeah.
You don't get particular shit from them. That's what you get from your audio. Slight amount of static beforehand, but then electrics were involved, so sure, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, there's all sorts of EM going around here. We've got radios, we've got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Gonna kind of look up to the ceiling, as it were, and say, "Are you sure they can do their jobs right?" Nah, can't have been a ghost then. Never mind. I'm gonna look at reactions to the word ghost.
Sergei looks at you with a certain amount of admonishment. You kind of getting from him, from his rage, that he wants there to be a physical target.
A person to blame.
Yeah.
To punch.
Helena looks at you with a certain amount of sympathy, like she's heard this before.
Okay. I'm gonna nod at that kind of right. I better go check all the other microphones. If this one's staticking, we might get some other one. And when I've walked out, I'm gonna text back about Helena's response. Maybe there's other people who, think there are ghosts, and they might be interesting to talk to.
Small detail. When you leave this room, you put your headphones on.
Mm-hmm.
When you leave this room, you get a shh sound from your headphones.
I'm gonna step back into the room. Just backwards.
Doesn't happen again.
And forwards.
Doesn't happen again.
Twice more.
There's a slight buzzing towards the end, but that's about it. And these are good headphones. I mean, they're really good headphones. So you haven't had many buzzes.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm gonna text that to the group chat as well. Listen out for static on headphones leaving rooms. Door frames might be interfering or something.
And it was like a yush sound.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to go true to my word and check all my other microphones, see if there's any kind of static on them at the same time.
In the folding room, which is right next to it, there was a bit of static, less than the one in the print room, and there was again the same kind of thing in the real room.
Okay, but the most static was in the gels room.
Yeah, you have a feeling that whatever static was there, that the other two were in close enough proximity to read it.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I'm going to ask Nikki to ask Helena who else might have talked about ghosts.
Nikki will sort of give Helena and Sergei like a little, just a moment or two, just to sort of panic and sort of decide on their next course of action if they need to do anything like emergency. But if Helena sort of just sort of stops for a moment, Nikki will just sort of like sidle up to her with her little high heels like click clacking on the floor, and be like, so that didn't look like a person. Any ghosts that you've seen, you know? And she'll say it in like a way that's like she's kind of being like a little bit joking, but you know, not really.
Okay, so yeah, you put a bit of a joke into it. It's like, oh, seen any ghosts kind of thing. Helena kind of takes a deep sigh and kind of lolls to one side and goes, it's romanticism. Rudy says that he heard a voice. Darby says that she heard a voice. Fucking Marie believes that she could feel Owen nearby. Or just she said that it just felt like, you know, that how it would feel if she heard him walking down the corridor kind of thing. Carissa is one of those Wiccans, and says that she has felt the essence of Owen. And then there's Rodri. Rodri is a bit of an imaginative one. He's a daydreamer, you know. And he said he was reading a copy of the paper, one of his coffee breaks. Rodri's is in the docks, and he said as he was reading the paper, he felt like the words were changing in front of his face, and telling him to go rip up something in the paper. Just you know, because that's what Owen would want to do. Yes, he would want to you know, obliterate a print, right? Yeah. No, he was always the man who wanted the truth out there, you know. Romanticism, yeah, it is the end of an era. I mean, the Reveille is going to continue. It's going to continue with a certain amount of its core intact. But when we leave this place, some of the history is going to be have a line drawn under it. Yeah. So, yeah, and I guess in a way, I kind of wish that people would not be talking about ghosts or anything, because I think the more they talk about the superstitious stuff, the more that people try to look for a practical thing, and the more they look at a practical thing, they're looking at us. Yeah. I'd like to get a practical solution, but not one that involves our liability. We were here the whole time. You check the videotapes. Check the videotapes. We were here the whole time, watching the whole thing. No one could have got in and out. That's the thing. They're saying, we could have watched. We would turned our back and somebody would replace the gels. CCTV was on the entire time. And Ed, your character, can corroborate this. Yeah, you can go back, look through the whole VHS. You'll see Sergei putting all the gels in. You'll see Helena checking all the gels, and yeah, that's the only time they're touched.
Excellent. She'll Nicole sort of step away and then sort of again sort of say via the comms to Marcus and Todd, do we want to? From what I'm seeing, there was no people, and there was no way to replace the gels. If they're spinning as fast as they say, you couldn't have put your hand in there. You saw, you didn't see. I saw Helena's reaction to when Sergei went to touch them. There's no way she would have let. There's no way that someone could have put their hand in. What do we think, Owen?
In your ears.
Going to immediately check the headphones I have plugged into my own receiver, see if it was recorded.
Yeah, it's recorded. You have a copy of.
Okay.
Can you slow it down?
Yeah, I was about to try that. Slow down, reverse, all of those good ghost hunting soundtracks.
Okay, so reverse does nothing, other than play the Beatles, of course. But slowing it down is just. You it almost sounds like words.
Can I boost mids, kind of take off bass and treble?
The first word ends in P. There's a kind of a sound in the middle word. Some sort of protracted S sound in the last word. The rest is just so distorted that it's all part of the same kind of rumble. You can see. Where are you all at the moment?
I was heading towards the first room we came into, the stalls where Marie is.
Okay, in the stores, you do hear a yelp in the office. Older woman. You did hear Marie talk before. There's a yelp from her. Where are you, Sean?
Probably still near the office.
No reaction from anybody there. You do notice that Cammy doesn't have her headphones on. She doesn't really have a need to. There's a little handheld walkie-talkie next to her desk. And Roxy, where are you?
I'm probably still sort of in the sort of main printing room, like by the gels, like a little bit. I've got put some distance between sort of Nikki and Helena and Sergei, but I can still see them.
Okay, so Sergei bunches his fists momentarily, but then goes back to checking all the gels. He's going through them all again. Helena closes her eyes and grits her teeth.
In a sort of like, in a way that looks like, is she in pain? Or
she looks slightly shocked. She hasn't recovered yet.
Yeah, okay. Nikki will sort of like just sort of like gently sort of like pull her. She heard this noise as well, obviously.
Yep, you all heard it. You all heard it through. Anybody who had the sensors on.
She'll sort of take off the sort of and just like pull them away from her ears and be like, "Does that happen regularly? Because that wasn't nice."
There's you realize now that because they're priming everything, you take it off, and as you're starting to take it off, it's whoop, 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 whoop. You're having to shout a bit. Thankfully, the sensor is quite close to you, and so Helena goes, "Don't shout into the microphone or near the microphone. It's really sensitive."
Sorry.
We all heard it. and you can see that she stops, wrinkles her brow, and then quite quickly starts running towards the gels and starts checking them all.
Does this happen often? You might want to get, I don't know, Cammy or something to look into that.
She turns around, snaps at you, and she goes, "No, but that sound was heard last night before it happened." And so she's going back and forth between all the gels.
Right. So, like, ending in a P, R in the middle,
And then S.
sound.
I've gone through my notes. I haven't written down anything with a P in it.
Well, I have. We've got Harry Knapp, and we've got Sophie Ben.
Yeah.
Don't know what the middle could be, but I'm going to like. I mean, this is obviously going to work because this is
Sean,
work.
there's a huge slamming sound behind you, and the whiteboard, the magnetic whiteboard, has been hit by something. Most of the magnetic bits that hold on the small tags, like post-it note type things, have fallen off. Most of the scandals have fallen off the whiteboard. And at the moment, you can see there's only a few that have left. The three that are left are the rugby player, Andrew Marchant, and Sophie Higg.
Okay. Yeah, something just happened with the whiteboard over here. We've got those scandals.
Sorry, Safi
that
Higg.
are still. We've got those scandals that are still left up. The rugby guy and the other two.
All the others have fallen off.
Like everything's on the floor right now.
Did you see anything else?
No, it was just like a big bang. I'm surprised I heard it, to be honest.
This can't be a coincidence.
I mean, I would say no.
Whoosh! There's a huge sensation as one of the red newspapers gets thrown into your face, Sean.
All right, I'll look at it. Which one is it?
It's one of the red newspapers.
I just want to. All right. Okay, so I just got hit by a newspaper. Straight newspaper just kind of flew at me. Maybe someone else wants to get in here. Like, it seems like this is a good place to be right now. Just if you want to get hit by a newspaper, I'll see it goes. I'm gonna get my phone out and put on the thermal lens and give that a quick look around while I put the newspaper down.
The newspaper is hotter than other newspapers, and there's a handprint on the whiteboard.
Damn it!
Actually, you've done some of this stuff before. Handprint looks, I guess, muscular, maybe male.
Okay. Yeah, I passed this out. I just found I was trying out with the thermal camera, and it's like a weird handprint on the whiteboard, and there was no one hitting it behind me. There's one on the paper as well, so I suspect someone wants my attention. I suspect it's linked to these scandal stories. Someone's going. Do we know anything about the link between these stories? Is there anything that we can find out real quick?
That they shouldn't be in the paper?
Well,
or one of them shouldn't, anyway.
I imagine so, but I mean, is there something else linking them maybe that we haven't found yet, beyond the fact that they're scandals?
A quick kind of search on the names of the writers, Sophie Ben and Harry.
Were they all? You said that both the pictures. Yeah, you said that both the pictures were fairly new. Do they look like they've been possibly they've both been hired recently by the same person?
Yeah, you can take a look into that, and when you do, you realise that they were both hired by Gary.
And what about the Andrew Marchant? Marchant? I can't read my own handwriting.
Andrew Marchant. Andrew Marchant was another one from Harry.
Right. So if they
now that you've looked into it, Sophie is a talented up-and-comer. So she got snatched up by Gary. Paid a little bit too much for her, according to a memo you pick up. Harry is an old hand. He has worked for the tabloids before, which is why a lot of people don't like the fact that he's joined the Revali. But he's connected and then some.
Gentlemen's clubs.
Yes. Ed and Sean. Ed, I know where you are, Sean. Ed, where are you?
I was heading to the stores. So kind of along the corridor that direction.
Okay. In that case, another one for Sean. You can see that Cammy is looking at one of her screens and looking fairly stressed.
Yeah, head in there. Hey, what's going on?
I've got some trolls here. They keep just posting tickets. And they're posting tickets on both the systems. That's what I don't get.
Okay, what did they say?
I got the ones from the websites and I got the ones from the journalists, and all they're doing is just posting tickets. It just says lies. Look,
okay.
Subject lies, body lies.
Did he have body? Did he have usernames on or something?
Different everywhere. There's some of them are just from our subscribers list, and some of the others here are just from some of our. Actually, now that I look at it, these are all old accounts, not the subscribers. The subscribers, they're current accounts, but the journalists. All these journalists haven't worked for years. Like, half of them are dead. They're on the system because they always have been. But yeah, so that one there, Fred, that was a heart attack. Mind you, the way they used to eat the brekkie rolls, we wasn't surprised. Yeah, dead journalists and retired journalists are sending us just tickets saying lies. I think we've been hacked. Oh, fucking hell. It's going to be Muggins here who's going to have to tidy up after all this. They're going to blame this one on me, aren't they? They're going to blame me like Eleanor.
I'll probably check the logs and you'll be fine. Marcus, you might want to get over here.
We'll start heading in that direction, and I'm going to do.
Marie runs up to you and she goes, "Don't leave me alone! Don't leave me alone! I don't want to be alone."
You're right, dear.
I know it's him, but
him.
I know it's Owen, but I don't want to. I don't want to be alone. Can I come with you?
Yeah.
There's nothing happening in stores. I don't need to be. I don't need to be in stores.
Well, we'll make some tea. We'll get you. Don't worry. We're just going to the office.
Yeah, the office. Let's go to the office. And she's clutching your arm, bless her. She's probably, if not retirement age, past retirement age, and somehow managed to keep herself on. And you have a feeling, again, because nothing happens in stores, she just kind of potters about and tidies up a bit, and they pay her.
I'm going to try and keep like a pleasantish conversation going on while doing a volume pass a low volume filter on the sound to count syllables.
Okay, counting the syllables, it would be da 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 da.
Da da da.
Wah wah wah. To suddenly use my chopper voice. Yeah. Wah wah wah. Wah wah wah.
Right. Yeah. I'll relay 1, 1, 2 syllables to everyone. It's not stop printing lies. Thought it might be that. It's not messaging like text as opposed to talking, so she doesn't hear. And I'm going to head up to the office. Yeah.
Tell them! Tell them! She's gripping your arm. This girl has been hoofing around heavy materials in stores for most of her working life. You're there like, shit, that really hurts. You can see that your bicep is kind of bulging around her fingers like a water balloon as she's gripping you. You're just like, you're going to do me some serious damage here. Why? Tell them what? Tell them. There was more. What did he say? said something. He said, tell them something. Tell them. And she's blubbing now.
Right. Okay. Right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to ask you to listen to something and tell me if you can hear anything in it. I know. I'm sorry. But can you? And I'm gonna pass it like earbuds from the laptop.
Sure. Okay.
And play the kind of filtered sound.
Sounds to me like Stop the Presses.
Right. I've gone Welsh. I'm sorry.
I do that so often. I'm surprised I managed to keep Cammy's voice.
Right. Okay. Sorry, we can't do that on a ghost. Who's in charge of the presses? Who's makes the decision there?
Well, these guys have all got their jobs, but there's only one person who can stop the press, and that'd be Gary. No one below him's got the chance.
Okay, right. Gonna head up, kind of texting the whole way. I think we might need to tell Gary to stop the presses. I've got a couple of strategies, but I'm not sure if any of them will work. Credible threat to the printers. It would stop it. There's definitely someone threatening online if we're seeing all those tickets as I kind of get up to that area.
You haven't got Gary's number. In fact, you don't even have the general manager's number that you can see is Abigail Donnell. Abigail Donnell is actually the daughter of Josephine, who's the where it went. Owen, daughter, son. She's the daughter's daughter.
Right, Marie. I'm going to start making a cup of tea. You don't happen to have Gary's number, do you?
Yeah. She gives you the number.
There we go.
Brilliant.
Go to the old girl who has been there for years and she will have it. She was only one of 3 people who had the number. Everybody else would have given you Abigail's number.
Right, okay. We're printing at 11, so we've got 40 minutes, or well, I'm going to say half an hour before we call Gary and get him to stop. And then we will have 8 minutes to tell him to stop. What have we got here? You might need to get up here. Name's Nikki. Sorry.
Nikki would sort of turn to Elena and sort of say, if anything else happens, I want to know about it immediately. And then she'll sort of like click clack up to the office.
Okay.
I'm going to check my EM reader microphone.
Sure.
Been triggered at all?
Yes. A few times. And the EM reader was in the press room. Yeah. What? Triggered it. In fact, you can see the individual beats. Also, ordinarily, this is weird. I'd normally give the character a listen check, but you're a sound engineer, so you automatically pass. See how the system works? It's really good. It's a case of, is there a reason why they would succeed? Yes, then they succeed. You can hear that there's a kind of a... I wish I had a appropriate piece of material to make the sound. Does that work? Oh, there we go. That sound. Just before the kerfuffle with the lights that Nikki had, there's this sound.
Is that like acetate wobbling?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Gonna play these sounds out loud to everyone. On the microphone in the printer, the one I've got rigged up. Honestly, what's the bad that's going to happen? Like, if we stop the presses, there's not going to be an edition tomorrow. But if we don't stop the presses, there's going to be a red edition with the word shame. Like, honestly,
Or worse.
right. But what's worse for a newspaper's reputation? Gonna kind of pointedly look at Marie, eyebrow up.
Marie is trying not to spill her tea all over herself. And she looks at you as if to the answer. She thinks that you're giving her a rhetorical question.
Right, okay. Yep. Right.
Cammy, could you take Marie and maybe sit her down somewhere? I've gone Welsh. Why have I gone like?
Everyone goes Welsh.
What happened?
Gets you all.
And could you take her out?
Yeah, Cammy goes, yeah, you come with me. Yeah, just sit down with me. I'm reading something else now. I've switched off the tickets. There's no point in having it if all it's going to do is that.
Could you do me a favor and just flick that back on? Just flick it back on. It'd be great.
Okay, I mean, I guess so. Yeah. And so she goes up, she switches it on, but then she turns the screen away from Marie because it's clear that Marie freaked the fuck out of Marie. And you do see that it keeps saying lie, 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 which is interesting because previously it said lies. So
then Nikki will sort of get Marcus and Todd and like sort of not on comms, like just to them. Just be like, I think we need to have a go at trying to contact Owen. You know, if there's him or something else.
I mean,
there is
Owen or whoever's on the system. Like, I was thinking about that. I was gonna give like a warning on like the broadcast saying, if there's someone on this system, could you actually communicate what you want rather than just all this spooky shit? Like, there's no reason. You can be sensible about this.
But it's not just on the system, you know. You saw the handprint and
whoa. Over your headphones. Wah.
That's like
stop the
someone's
press. Nikki is gonna just she's gonna sit on the floor, and she's gonna sort of close her eyes and sort of like get into an almost sort of like meditation sort of pose, and basically she's just gonna, she is a believer. She believes that the supernatural is definitely a thing, and she's gonna have a go, and like she's not too bothered what these other two people think of her, if they think she's crazy, but she'll just sort of close her eyes and say, Owen Weston, is that you? Can you hear me? Can you communicate in any way? Can you use the computer, the whiteboard? Show us that you are here, if you are here.
Guys, you hear her say this as she says the computer. One of the computer switches off. Just one of the ones in the writer's room. And when she says the whiteboard, the magnetic whiteboard eraser that's attached to the whiteboard gets knocked off.
Right. I mean, that seems. I mean, there's somebody listening at least. I'm gonna like completely out of like the tension. Just look at the whiteboard. How'd they do that? Right. Sorry. Do we have?
One of the pens falls off the whiteboard.
I'm gonna tip. Is the whiteboard one that can tip, or is it attached to the wall?
It's attached to the wall. Screwed in, 4 points.
Right. Damn. I'm gonna find a pencil.
Yep.
I'm gonna snap a bit of lead and put it on a sheet of paper.
You put
Do you want to ask for a writing on the paper? I mean, it'd be easier than talking through these.
And Nikki sort of hasn't opened her eyes, but she's sort of been listening to Marcus, and she says, "Owen, if that's you, can you make a mark on the paper? Can you give us a sign?"
The pencil obviously pencil. The shape has ridges on it. It moves one ridge, like it's been knocked, but that's it.
Like I'm gonna snap the lead off the end and leave that on the paper. Ask him to move the lead like right with just the lead. See if we can get a mark.
Can you make a mark with the lead? Just the lead.
The lead vibrates slightly.
Right.
Then you hear wah, 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 over the thing, and you can see that 3 people from the stores has fucked off. They are throwing the Sensia headphones into the car park, getting in their cars, and fucking off. They are not sticking around anymore.
Owen, are you telling us to stop the press?
There's a kind of a pregnant pause. You have a feeling that there's no reaction to it because there's no clear answer.
I think more likely is tell him to stop, turn the monitor around. That point at lie.
Lie.
Yeah.
Lie.
Turn it back. Do we know which of these is false? Kind of gonna spread out the.
One of the computers
thing.
switches back on again.
Right. Okay. That sounds like a yes/no to me.
Should check who's been writing them. It's probably something to do with the new writers.
Aye.
It's like
Which,
Sophie or Harry written anything.
Yeah, Harry's picture flies off the wall and smashes against the opposite wall.
right.
Yeah, I'm just glad to not be choked this time. This is great. All right.
Wait, what?
Nothing. Harry. Look for Harry.
Right. All right. So of the things that are left on the whiteboard,
It was the
which
Sappy
ones
Higgs.
are written by Harry?
I think it was the Sappy Higgs one. The London Council.
Harry has written about Sappy Higgs and Andrew Marchant.
Right. Well, I mean, that might be a little easier than stopping the presses, just removing an acetate or two. We might have to convince our friends downstairs, but they might be able to. I mean, they've told us lies. I mean, we don't have to necessarily say why we know it's Harry's stuff, but they don't like Harry's stuff. That makes sense. That makes sense.
It makes sense to us, but I don't know if it's going to make sense to the
The
people.
computer
setting the
switches
thing.
itself back off again. What that means, you don't know, but apparently he's really good at pressing that switch.
Okay, so now we just got to convince them to change the acetate. So I'm sure that'll be easy.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be easy if we tell we've got a pretty credible threat. Someone's hacked into the system. I mean, very obviously.
We might want to mention it was like libelous or slanderous or whatever, something. I don't know.
That's a good point, actually. What is the legality? You work in print, right? You got
Print
any libel
dictionaries.
law stuff? Oh, right. Not much libel in dictionaries. Well, I suppose there's one.
You could misprint a quotation, I guess, but
Right, yeah.
but they're all dead,
okay.
really. So, you know,
I'm
Shakespeare
going
and
to,
stuff.
yeah, ring up. Do we have legal? Do we have a legal phone number? We do not. Let's go for admin. Let's go for Edward.
So the closest to legal that you would get is editorial. That's the copy editor.
Cool. Yeah, let's go for editorial then.
Okay, so that's Rue Orlando that you call. You hear, yeah?
Hi, Aru. Really sorry to.
Who the
have you
fuck
up at this.
is this?
We're investigating the issues that happened the other day with the printers.
You police?
No.
Who the fuck are I? Oh, no, hang on. John did say something.
Yeah, but the problem is we seem to be having some issues. There might be some.
Oh, fuck it. Don't tell me it's happened again. Don't you Why is it even printing? It's not supposed to even print for another fucking half an hour.
It's not printing yet. Don't worry. We're trying to stop the issues happening. We think there.
What? Do you know how it is happening?
No, we don't know how it's happening.
Well, how the fuck are you going to stop it then?
We're going to stop it because we think someone might be telling us why they're doing it. Are you going to listen to me?
You have a feeling that the guy's just sat bolt right upright in bed because you can hear his wife complaining, and he's like, "You know who's fucking doing it."
We don't know who's fucking doing it. We've just got an idea of why they might be doing it.
Stop talking in fucking circles and tell me.
No. Listen, there might be lies in articles contributed by Harry Knapp. We don't 100% know, but we think.
Oh, who the fuck you been talking to? No one likes Harry. He's been in the business for a fucking long time.
We haven't spoken to anyone about Harry. You can ask anyone in the morning and sue me if we have.
Tell them we researched it or something.
Then how the fuck do you know there's something wrong with one of Harry's articles? Who the fuck?
Because someone has got in the system and is telling us so. Someone who is in the IT system. So presumably
they're probably the ones who are fucking with the print.
Exactly. So do you want a nice system tomorrow or not? Do you want a nice print for tonight? Because you need to remove 2 articles. That's it.
I can't. I can't.
You've got the.
Yeah, I'm editorial, but I still run it past fucking Gary, don't I?
Right, but you've got 24 minutes to make that choice. I can get Gary on the phone right now.
What articles? Harry wrote like a fucking quarter of the paper.
Ah, shit. Right. There are articles. You have the notes.
Andrew Marchant and Safi Higgs.
Andrew Marchant and Safi Higgs.
Oh, are you fucking touched in the head or something? That's 2 of the largest fucking things out there. Two of the largest stories. Of course, they're asking you to pull those stories. It's probably a fucking competitor.
Okay, right, that's true. But if they're lies, what damage could that do to the paper?
They're not lies. Everybody knows that the money was found in Safi's account, and everybody knows that Marchant's a fucking ratbag, right? Why do you think he's gone into hiding, for fuck's sake?
Right. Okay. What kind of proof will you need to stop this happening? To
prove to me that one of the fucking stories is false.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna hang up.
Because Nikki probably has read, she's fairly interested in the news and she has newspapers. Has she read anything about either Safi Higgs or?
Yeah, it is news. It is news. So out of the 2, what he says about Andrew Marchant is fairly true. Guy's always been a bit of a sleazeball. Managed to get in through hate and division, Brexit, all of that bullshit. Basically just able to profit over anything that comes in. So if somebody doesn't like somebody, he will find a way of turning that into money. Type of slime that always floats to the surface. And the fact that he's been taking buns, no one's fucking surprised. He did recently, in the last 6 months, start talking about his new faith. He got confirmed. And everybody's just thinking that that's a way for him to just refresh his career long enough so that he can get that final paycheck. That's the skeptics. There are some people. Archbishop of Canterbury, for example, has said that they've spoken to him directly, and he seems to be genuine. But considering he did that for Hello magazine, is not exactly the most credible source. Safi, on the other hand, was a bit of a surprise. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people who go into politics. They start off with good intentions, and they just end up being pulled into the swamp. And that seems to be the angle for Harry's article, is that, even he says in the article that he was surprised.
And has that been used? Has anyone else reported that?
Yeah. Mostly it's all the same thing. There's not as much dirt as there is on Andrew, but they're all pretty much the same thing, that an anonymous source was given the details of the bank account transfers. They got the SWIFT codes and was able to look into it. Presumably, whoever broke the story would have the SWIFT codes, and then everybody else is just jumping on the bandwagon. They just would have heard through whatever. The news business is pretty dirty in that sense, in that there's usually some copy boy or something like that who's willing to speak to another newspaper about what the first newspaper is doing. But it's considered to be part of the game. Everybody's spying on everybody else.
Yep.
Is Harry's office here?
Yes.
I'm going to go there with a clean newspaper. Or not a clean newspaper. Are there proofs of the stories anywhere that we can take?
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, they would be there. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Going to grab them
so
and take to Harry's.
Which stories are you taking?
The two that seem to have been were left on the board. So Safi Higgs and t'other one.
Yeah.
It was the words that were shamed out did include her and she.
Yeah.
So possibly, if there's a connection, possibly looking at the Safi one, just because in the Andrew Marchant one there isn't a woman. But
I'm going to go through Harry's drawers, notebooks, looking for his notes on this story, the stuff that gets before it gets, or his first draft, and looking for differences, things that have been added specifically.
Okay, so in comparison to Gary's office, Harry is of the old school. You can see that there are screwed up post-it notes in the bin. A lot of them in a strange kind of backhand. It's a form of shorthand, but backhand is a form of encrypted shorthand that journalists used to use back in the 80s. It said during the whole Deep Throat thing with Nixon, a lot of the notes were scrawled in backhand, what seemed to be doodles. In the corner of a page, which is why a lot of them managed to get through. Apparently, in Frost versus Nixon, David Frost was sent some details in a similar type of shorthand, which allowed him to guide his questions. Who sent them to him? No one knows. The dirty dealings at the top.
Do I recognise any of the shorthand?
Yeah, a lot of the shorthand, even though it is encrypted, you can kind of go, this is this one here just seems to be a quote. Seems to be fairly inane stuff. You can see that compared to Gary, there's black and red pads pretty much everywhere. It looks like that Harry is the type of guy to just pick up a pad, use it, put it down, then grab whatever one's close to him. They're strewn about the place, but it looks like in black and red pads they've got perforated lines down the side. And it looks like that once he uses a sheet of paper, he pulls it out, because you can see lots of little fluffy bits where he's pulled out the paper.
Has he got a bin or like a recycling that has...
Yeah. You found post-it notes in the bin, the waste paper basket. Apparently the cleaners haven't bothered with this one. Apparently those.
Anything relating to Andrew or Safi?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. With Safi, it says CHK CDES, which seems to be some sort of shorthand. Andrew, it actually has a price, and it has 17,000 question mark next to it.
Right, is the figure 17,000 mentioned at all in the story?
Nope.
Okay. CEDS. Well, CHK is probably check.
Yeah.
And I think we're looking for one thing that's wrong, because lies has become lie. CEDS. That's ringing bells, and probably not for the right reasons.
Couple of days.
How much was put in her account, Safi's account?
Safi's account, there was a lot of kind of toing and froing. They came in through various expenses accounts, but the total that was laundered into account over time was 2.1 million.
It's quite a lot of money.
Right. So the Safi story ran yesterday as well.
It would have run yesterday if the
Would have run yesterday.
if the presses had worked.
Right. Okay.
You don't know how many papers they managed to get off that were unaltered and black before it went red, but not enough for it to have gone out.
Is there an address book here? If he's old school, he might have it written down.
He has a Rolodex there.
Rolodex. That was going to be my next question.
He's that old school.
Gonna look for CEDS, like initials or...
You find nothing.
Nope. Okay. Are there any mentions of enemies of Safi in the newspapers? Or like a quick cursory search online, specifically anyone who's been outspoken against her?
You look through the articles. Some of the articles from some of the competitors to the Rivali, funnily enough, do mention that she was fierce. Well, she still is a fierce person. She's still maintaining her innocence, and saying that she has no idea why those payments were coming in. She was telling her boss the payments coming in, and she's actually put a complaint in by the fact that her boss's response to that was to put her under investigation rather than investigating it. He started investigating her. She's very outspoken. You have to be. If you're doing the Docklands restoration, there's a number of people who are trying to strong arm you into giving them access to real estate, or to just make one small policy which could make somebody not just six figures. It's six figures every year for many years. It's London Docklands, baby. It's just a small amount of that land going one way instead of another, and suddenly money that would be going to one person goes to another person. It's huge.
Any stories about where the boss goes to drink?
No.
Okay.
Could it be check codes? Maybe it's something to do with the Swift codes?
Yeah. CEDS. It could be.
CDES.
CDES.
Yeah. Could be something to do with the Swift codes. Maybe you found something.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, I'm gonna like throw my laptop over Chrome open.
Ah, crap. I'm just gonna try and find anything I can about this source and the Swift codes.
You find nothing about Swift codes.
Damn it.
It's not the type of thing that you'd be able to access on.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but you gotta try it, right?
I mean, if we were playing a spy game and you were a master hacker, then maybe you could hack the Swift code system. But this is one of the most secure financial institutions online that you will ever find.
Well, I didn't hack a bank.
Do we have Harry's phone number? Is it in the Rolodex?
Yes.
His own phone number?
Yeah. Yes. Well, it's just in general you can find it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's a big wall full of all the investigators' names.
Yeah. Do we want to give Harry a call, see if he's actually made his check for the codes?
I think the only options are call Harry or try Gary again. But not Gary, Owen. But he hasn't been that clear.
No, he hasn't. Right. I'm gonna call up Harry. Hi, Harry. I'm so sorry to bother you late at night, but we're investigating some of the issues that happened at the print run yesterday. And it looks like we've got a credible threat against... Well, I say threat. I don't mean threat. I mean...
threat? Terrorists? No, tell me everything.
No. Right. Someone thinks there might be an inaccuracy in one of your stories, which...
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Right. Okay,
been doing this my entire life.
I know. But I just want to 100% check. There's a note you made, CHK CDES, might be check codes or something like that. We're wondering if you actually did follow up on that.
If I wrote it down, I'm sure I did. I'm sure.
Right, but you didn't write anything after it. It was just that and then a question mark.
Maybe. I don't know. That was yesterday.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was yesterday. So hopefully you should be able to tell me what's happened.
Who is this? I recognize the number. You're calling from the press room. Oh,
Yeah.
Who is this?
I've been hired by your boss to investigate all the stuff that's going on. So,
I suggest you do that then and stop bothering me.
right, yeah. But the investigation has led to you, sir. And
How's it now? How's it now?
It has indeed. And
exactly which of the fine people within this establishment have sent them in my direction?
None of them, and you can ask them and sue me if they have.
Might just do that. Might just do that.
Tell him they're going to pull all his articles if he doesn't clear. If in 10 minutes we don't have an answer, they're pulling all of his articles.
We have 10 minutes. If you don't tell us like what you think might be wrong in there, all your articles are going to be pulled. You're going to be responsible for.
My articles aren't going to be pulled because Gary and I are very good friends.
Right, you know.
And have yes, because he is a consummate professional, and so am I think you'll find. And I happen to have had a hand.
Professional should be able to remember if they check those codes.
Well, maybe I did know that I checked the damn codes. I checked the damn codes, and they were all perfect. Every single one of them was perfect. It was a fucking textbook, I'll have you know. Now, you may not know this, but I hand a hand in most of that fucking paper. Most of what's on there, most of what's been put to acetate, is down to me. So they're not going to pull, what, a third, half of the fucking paper? And if they
pull
do,
the whole paper.
Gary is going to fucking sack the lot of them. We've got new operators in this new state-of-the-art facility. Do you think we need them? Any of them? The fucking pressure that they're putting onto Gary at the moment, just because of fucking sentimentalism, it just they're part of the dinosaur. They should be decommissioned with the rest of the fucking machinery. Now get the final print out so that everybody can have the commemorative fucking issue, and stop whoever's doing this. They can't pull my articles without pulling the fucking paper.
Yesterday, they managed to stop an article you wrote yesterday.
They stopped the whole damn paper.
No, it's not the whole damn paper, but it'll ruin your fucking reputation.
No, it won't. My reputation has been established over many years.
Oh,
this paper could be gone for a whole fucking week, and it still wouldn't do anything on my reputation. If you think that there's an inaccuracy or a retraction or something like that we need to do, then find me whatever it is that we need to retract, and I will consider it. But the one thing that I can guarantee is that Gary's not going to pull it. He'll rather retract it.
Hang up in the middle of a sentence.
Sure.
Nice.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's not going to be any fucking help.
Running out of time as well.
7 minutes.
You can hear that the priming run is starting.
Shit, that goes my idea.
Yeah, Nikki is going to sort of close her eyes and be like, Owen, if you're there, we need guidance. We're trying to pull whatever it is that you need.
He slams the door shut. You are all in Harry's room with the door shut.
It's something to do with Harry. That one of his articles is incorrect. Is it to do with Safi?
Nothing.
Is it to do with Andrew?
Nothing.
Vanessa?
Nothing.
Is it to do with Harry himself?
It's a feeling when you say about Harry, but when you say Francesca, you don't feel anything, Ed.
So something wrong with Harry. Do we know anything about Harry?
We know there's £17,000 somewhere in that notepad. Price ? And it was under Andrew's notes, Andrew Merchant notes.
Yeah.
Right, Andrew Marchant.
Was Harry paid off?
I mean, that's what I'm thinking, but how can we prove it and stop them?
One of the notebooks gets thrown on the floor.
Let's have a look. What is it?
Grab that notebook.
It's one of the black and red notebooks. You open it. All the pages that are left are blank.
Grab a pencil.
Yeah.
Bastard. A bunch of Swift codes reveal themselves to you.
Yeah.
How perfect are they?
They are perfect enough that you'll be able to maybe put a query out on them.
Slide it over to Tom.
Yeah, I'm already there, right? So, this one's a lot easier.
The Swift codes seem to corroborate the payments being made to Safi Higgs in the article.
Okay, we got that.
Right.
He said it was textbook. Is it too easy, perhaps?
Roxy, the second you look at it, you go, fucking. There's no act to conceal these. The second that you look at them, now that you think that thought, there's no act to conceal these payments to Safi Higgs.
If someone was trying to hide, if she has any sense of intelligence, she would have tried to hide these.
And the one thing that you've got from the articles is that she's fiercely intelligent.
Right. Do you think that's enough to get Edward to stop it?
Someone set her up. Call Gary.
Okay. Beep 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 beep.
Gary
Oldling.
Edward at the same time.
Unsurprised to you that he's still awake.
Gary, you're gonna pull one of the articles.
Am I now?
Yes.
And which article would that be?
Safi Higgs.
One of the hottest topics currently, corroborated by several newspapers. Why would that be? Why would I do that? It's news already. She's already out there.
And your article is wrong.
Well, if my article's wrong, everybody else's article's wrong, which means it's very unfortunate for her. But that's going to be the truth. Well, that is the truth already. It would have been the truth yesterday from us as well if we had printed it out. That's what everybody knows. Yeah?
You have two options. You print your newspaper without this article, or you don't print your newspaper.
Neither. I'm going to run it. It's what everybody is saying. If it's in all the other papers.
Down the phone. Well, then the newspaper's going to run red, and there's going to be shame all over it because this is the article that's causing the problem. That's what was stopped yesterday.
How is that? How is that article causing the problem? You're this John refused to say where you guys were from. Why are you saying that this is going to do it?
We're subject matter experts, and that's all you need to know.
I love to hear that.
You have 3 minutes. We can explain this to you all properly, but you've got to make the call now. Pull the article.
No,
pull the article,
I refuse.
I refuse. You won't have a commemorative.
You tell Helena. You tell Helena. If she takes that fucking acetate out, I will take her job.
We've got to give him something better. We've got to. If we found another story that this one isn't true, give him the bigger story. Prove to him that this is actually everyone else is wrong and they can be right and they can be the ones to break this huge story. If we can get him to agree to that, then we got him.
Look, you know how I know this is true? It's because my guy broke the story. Yeah, we were supposed to have done that first. Everybody else found that out from us, right? We did the legwork. We know it's true. Everybody else scrutinized us, yeah? Peer review. That's what it is, peer review. All the other people looked at our story, looked at our lines and was like, yeah, that's exactly true. And we ended up being the people who printed it last. Is that justice for you? No, it isn't.
Did they all know about the codes, the Swift codes? Did they all?
Well, no, only we had that, but they looked into the other stuff. They go and
how did you get the Swift codes?
We had a tip off. Okay, I don't know. Ask Harry. He's the magic maker. Yeah.
The Swift codes are wrong. Look at them. Have you actually looked at them?
I was told it was cut and dry that she's guilty.
Yeah. No, too cut and dry. If you have a look at them, there's no trying to hide them. She's a
What are you, some sort of conspiracy theorist or not? She dropped a bollock, okay? I'm sorry. It runs. Tell Helena she doesn't run that plate. Her job's gone. Click. And he hangs up on you. You have 1 minute. What are you going to do?
I'm going to run down to Helena.
Tell her to pull the article.
With the codes. Explain, basically. All right. These Swift codes, they are too perfect. They're Safi Higgs. The Safi Higgs story is the thing that was stopped running yesterday because of these codes. They are exactly perfect, which is not what you'd expect from Safi Higgs. We think
Okay.
this is the lie that's stopping.
Well, tell Gary then. I can't. I don't decide what goes in
He
the
said
paper.
no, but
Well,
you know.
if he said
this will
no, then it's no.
You've seen this happen yesterday. You saw this happen yesterday. It's happening again. We're telling you. You're not gonna fucking believe me. That's 11 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can see she goes, "I'm sorry," and you can see that clunk, clunk, clunk. Sergey is pulling down like a car bonnet. He's pulling down the lids on the drums that contain the gels, and as he does so, he turns around to you and says, "I'm sorry."
You will be.
Probably. There's a look of genuine regret on his face.
Ed, get your camera out. Film it. With good quality.
Yep, will do.
I'm going to give you one action. You can all decide what it is. I'll give you one action.
I mean, if this guy wants to not have a newspaper to run, that's on him. But I want to be able to film it to prove that we had nothing to do with it, and neither did any of the staff.
Okay.
It's not their fault. He's a dick.
That's Roxy's pitch.
I'm very tempted to throw my phone into the drums.
I mean, that'll stop the presses, that's for sure.
Yeah, and give time to check the thing, but no commemorative edition. I'm sued.
Yeah.
I think probably I care less about the presses stopping than me being sued. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna film, and I'm gonna pass the pad to Helena, and say, make sure someone other than Harry Knapp gets these codes, checks them out. Okay. Sorry.
Sean, what's your pitch?
Not going down like this again. I'm gonna throw my phone in the press.
Okay.
Mongo said, I'm not making it again.
Okay. So the press starts up. You guys, you walk along every single drum, looking at the ink, showing that the ink is black. Sergey, with a sigh, closes the final lid. Like a strange mechanical ballet, all of the drums come together, and there's this click-clunk, 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 as the leader comes over the drums. And then faint black script starts appearing on the leader, getting darker and darker and darker. There's a as the voice trying to speak to you through your headphones gets weaker and weaker. And then Todd lobs his phone?
Nokia brick.
iPhone, yay!
iPhone. In that case, it's a happy ending because we get to destroy an iPhone. Throws his iPhone straight into one of the drums. The drum snatches it up into the drum.
Are we recording this, by the way? Got him?
As you record it, yeah. You watch him just fucking lob this phone into the drum. The drum obliterates the phone. Yay. And phone parts get crushed between the drum and the rollers. And you can see the paper just get fucked. Absolutely fucked. This relies on the paper, the structure of the paper itself as a belt going through this machine. The tears in the paper mean that suddenly at high speed, there's this huge ribbon of paper between two drums that just gets higher and higher and higher, where just looking at you, kind of wanting to hurt you, Todd. Sergey watches you do it, takes a deep breath, and just hits a red button. And the whole thing goes...
Sorry, mate.
You stop the press.
More than one way to do it, I guess. Anyway, I'll wait here while you get the police out.
Not super angry at you. He's kind of confused. There's a kind of energy about him. Like, he kind of wants to hurt you, but he's not quite sure if that's the right thing.
Yeah. I'll look at the inside. I'm like, okay, so I probably bought you like a day to sort this out.
I'm going to take a photo of the Swift codes and find as many journalists on Twitter, tag them, open, like.
You get a sudden on the phone, and it's just like, shit, someone's using a handset. And Cammy goes, hey, the fuck is that? They're sending through.
What are sending through?
The fucking the Swift codes there.
What?
You
I'm going to run upstairs.
you tagged us on social media. You tagged us on social media with bank codes.
Yeah, right.
What's all that about?
Oh, it should say in the tweet, they're the codes that were relating to the Safi case, right?
I was only looking at the lead tweet. Hang on, there's a thread. She goes, hang on a sec. Starts looking through it and goes, I think you're fucking onto something here.
If you're gonna fucking tell me that those are your Swift codes,
No, but you're saying that they're bogus. And I think you're fucking right. Starts tapping away at a computer. At which point, all of the tickets go yes, 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 yes.
right? I think someone better call Gary. I'll be honest, I don't want to be the one to do it.
I'll do it.
You can
I'll
see that
enjoy this.
there's a phone ringing in the office, and she goes, I think that's fucking Gary.
Yeah.
Marie
Nikki will happily go and talk to him.
Marie has got up
like,
and started reaching for the phone herself.
Nikki will sort of jog over and just sort of pick it up and sort of in like professional sort of polite way say
What the fuck is going on? I've just had phone calls saying that the press is ruined.
The press is ruined, I can confirm that.
How?
It appears there was an object that ruined some of the technology.
I bet. Tell Helena to pack her things.
We have video evidence that Helena was not involved in the incident. We have records. Don't worry.
I'm coming into the office.
I can't wait.
Hangs up. As Cammy's there, she goes...
Run!
As Cammy's there, she's going... It's all here. It's all here.
Subject matter experts.
I got a banker from Huddersfield. He's confirming the codes. He says bullshit. And Marie just sits down at one of the computers, boots it up. Excuse me, love. Can I get access to the website, please?
mean,
and
print
starts to
media
type.
might be dead, but I mean, news travels fast on the internet.
Can Nikki get a printout of whatever it is that Cammie's looking at?
Yeah.
So that she has and how long if Gary's coming in, how long does it normally take him to get here?
When you ask, they go, in rush hour, he's normally got like 40 minutes. It's fucking dead out there, so probably 20, 25.
Nikki's going to set her watch for 15 minutes to ensure that she is she's. Why don't people listen to us? We clearly know what we're talking about.
Marie flexes her neck and says, "So, Cammie, what did you find?" And Cammie goes, "Well, this banker from Huddersfield says that the Swift codes there, they come from a central server, and it basically is like the biggest breadcrumbs you could ever fucking get. Normally, people don't look into this kind of thing when they're reading the newspaper. They just trust what we see, trust that we did all the legwork. Like, Harry's not a lazy guy, you know. Nobody likes him, but he's a bit of a bloodhound. Like, he chases down the leads, makes sure that crosses the T's, dots the I's. I don't know why you wouldn't have seen it."
I mean, I'm gonna run and get the notebook with the page with 17,000 written on it. May or may not be related, but
yeah, it's Post-it note. 17,000 question mark. She goes, I don't know how Harry would have dropped a bollock like this. He's good. No one likes him, but he's good.
The Post-it
you
note
can see that Marie, as she's talking to Cammie, is typing. Anybody who looks over Marie's shoulder, she's typing an article on the Revali website, which isn't just a retraction, but is actually the story about how Safi Higgs is innocent.
We'll still publish it first.
Can I borrow your phone quick, Marcus? I promise I won't wreck it.
I mean, there's no more presses to throw it in, so...
Yeah.
Nice. I just want to have a quick look around with the thermal lens on, just to see if I see anything.
Standing at the shoulder of Marie is an elderly man leaning on the back of her chair, his head over her shoulder, whispering into her ear. And with that, we're going to finish the game. Congratulations. By throwing a fucking iPhone into the press, you won. You gave yourself extra time.
Well played.
Oh, you were so fucking close. You were so close. And I was just there like the option I was giving you when Sergey was pulling down the lids on the drums is I was like, okay, they have one shot. They're in the right place. They know what they should do. When I gave you the action, I was like, if one of them says, I run forward and rip out the story, I find the gel and rip out the story, I would have also have accepted that. Because
I thought about it.
Because Helene would have just gone, oh, fuck it, run it anyway. Because if you'd just torn the gel, she would have gone, I'm not losing my job over this. I can explain that arsehole over there took the gel. And it would have printed without the story. If you had done that and it printed the story, a different story would have appeared in the place of the missing gel, and it would have been written by Owen himself.
Oh, fun.
I fucking love writing these stories because as you guys, I can only write the structure of the story. I can there's a tick level for the ghost. The ghost only has a certain amount of energy. This is something from World of Darkness because, as Ed knows, originally these were World of Darkness stories that I wrote. And in World of Darkness, a ghost has a certain amount of energy called gnosis that they use to do things like throw a pen or whatever. So I used that as inspiration. I don't use the same system because this is systemless. It's actually based on time. if you hadn't noticed. So every now and again I was looking at the clock,
Yeah.
and you were asking him something. I was like, he can't do anything till 1:15. So it was like, I was like, you're asking him at 13 minutes past. At 1:15, he would be able to answer you. But by that time, you would already have moved on, and he would have moved on as well. So sometimes I save an episode, it goes past 1:15, you ask at 16 minutes past. I'm like, well, he's got energy to do something, so he will do it. So that's what it was. He was trying to communicate to you, but he's limited in lots of different ways. He could only get 3 letters on the... so at first he could get 4 letters on the tickets, which is why he put lies. Was the reason why he was haunting you. And then afterwards, when you were like, oh, well, which one is it? And he was like, oh, shit, hang on, I should tell them it's just one. Oh, like, I'm only strong enough for 3 letters anyway. So he turned it to lie. And then when you were on the right one, he was like, well, I can still only do 3 letters. Yes. And so that's what he was doing. So he was doing the best he could. The first is stop the presses.
Yeah.
He was just trying a general concept. The second is she's innocent. And so he was trying to talk to you, but all he could get through the technology was to it ended up reverbing the fuck out because limitations will make the drama.
Oh yeah, cool. I mean,
so
it wouldn't be much of a story if it was like there's a ghost and
but he's just like
exactly what you need to know.
This guy's an asshole. He's taking a bun from Antrim Marchant so that he can get Safi Higgs finger for his crimes. Can you pull it and print a retraction, please? It's like a 5-minute game, isn't it? So,
yeah.
But I was just there like, do something about it, please, guys, do something about it. And if you hadn't thrown your fucking iPhone into the presses, I would have had to say, I'm sorry, that those were your actions. I can't give you any extra time.
Yeah.
And I did do that in the first one. Vaudeville Ghost, the guys had just figured it out, and I think they had something like 6 minutes left once they'd figured it out. And I was like, because they were like, well, what do we do about it? We know what's wrong. What do we do about it?
Yeah.
But they couldn't figure it out. Yeah. Okay.
The time limit does so much for that. Like,
it doesn't it add the drama?
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. It's I could see you guys looking at the clock. I was looking at the clock for one reason.
Like,
you were looking at it for another.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Hermit. Yep, I will throw the banhammer on that one there. There we go. Thank you. So, see, iPhones are meant to be wrecking. Yep. Yeah. So, make the world a better place. Trash an iPhone. That's the moral of the story.
Maybe don't trash print media while you're at it, though.
I'm not going to judge. I mean, so,
no, only if they're printing lies.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, weirdly, I have another few stories like this. If you guys like this kind of open plan role play, where instead you forget about numbers, you forget about the dice, and you're just about the context and the story, then Roxy going, no, love my dice.
They're so good. They're very sad. They're sitting here next to me. And,
well, you'll be pleased to know that the rest of HALLOWEEK is dice-based. So tomorrow, it's going to be, I think it's just me playing tomorrow, isn't it, Ed?
Just the two of us.
So doing one-on-one, which... I'm going to be playing a fledgling vampire in Vampire the Masquerade, trying to get out of the city?
Possibly.
Or surviving in the city?
Ed hasn't written
Possibly.
it yet.
No, I've written it.
Oh, he's written it. I just don't know much
up to
about
you.
it. Yeah. All I know is I'm at that part in a vampire's existence, which is the most fucked up, and that is having recently been sired.
Having recently been sired and waking up in daylight hours.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I'm looking forward to it just because I know how fucking dangerous it is, and also of the people that Ed considered for playing this one, because this one you have to kind of know a few things about vampire in general, is that in Vampire, when you are freshly sired, you still try to do things like make your face blush. You try to keep your heart beating. You try to breathe. And that actually uses all of your energy. So there's a lot of that stuff that I'm going to have to be careful with the story. So that's going to be fucked up tomorrow. So please join us for that. On Friday, we are doing Mothership, which can do anything from kind of aliens type of thing, Nostromo. But Rodrigo's bringing their own twist to it with the Labyrinth, which has very much the kind of haunted machinery, chaos engine kind of feel to it. A little bit of Necromunda feel, I feel. Yeah. As well. So I'm looking forward to that on Friday. That's in place of the Benefactor. And then I am confirming that Saturday night I am going to be doing Dungeon Keeper D&D, where we're going to turn everything on its head. And the up to 5 players, we still have some slots, are going to be playing level 1 undead, who have recently been raised by their necromancer who died during the ritual. And now they're finding out that invaders to their dungeon home are coming in to fuck shit up, and they're going to have to defend their home against these terrible, terrible invaders. So we're starting with the serious spooky, and we're going to end with, well, not at all serious spooky, because
Are we the bad guys?
We got skulls on it. Neville, you're a flame skull. You are literally a floating, flaming skull. I'm sorry. I want to do a northerner flame skull. I've got performance anxiety.
My flames don't always work. It only really works when I'm angry, and I'm actually quite a nice guy.
But he's like a cleric and everything, you know. He devotes his life to other people. I don't want to burn him. So yeah, I expect silliness on Saturday. So tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday is basically our HALLOWEEK, and so please join us for those. And the usual reminders for people other than our schedule, which we had just done. If you're not on our Discord, don't be a stranger. Come join us on the Discord. Say hi. Be part of the community. We play computer games. We play role-playing games. We play board games, but you can't get people around the table right now, so it's redundant. Although Tabletop Simulator. Although Sean's got some horror stories regarding Tabletop Simulator.
What? I must have blocked it out.
Apparently, Gloomhaven was like a full-time job.
I mean, that's more Gloomhaven's fault than Tabletop Simulator.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair. Don't be a stranger. Come say hi to us all and join the chaos. Until then, we will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. for Vampire the Masquerade. Have a great day. We'll see you then. Good night.